It is Wednesday, February 21st. This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. There's always someone looking to ride the next wave. They're here for the ones who make their own White Claw. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk and Lt with you here on the Hangout. And joining us, friend of EST, it's Scout from the Elks Call, which you can catch live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk Fridays at Friday nights at 8 o'clock. You guys have been still pumping out the content in the off season, and it's been great. And I think I saw 90 days still training camp. We're within 90 days.
The player jersey.
Yeah. We're at as of today we're at 94, which I couldn't. We lost Jake Serezna. The Edmonton Elks lost Jake. Well, we traded him, so because of that, we couldn't go with Jake today. But a green and gold Ted Laurent. That's what we went for.
Ted Laurent, that's a great name.
Nice to get into double digits, though. You start going on the jerseys, right? It's funny to say, 100 some days wait till, but now we're in the home stretch.
Well, exactly. When you start the countdown, right, you're so thrilled because you're like, holy cow. Like, we can see Edmonton Elks and CFL football right around the corner, right?
First, the defensive lineman.
Yeah.
And then maybe receivers, you get to the tight ends, offensive lineman, and then you're going down positional, like, offensive players and everything, and then you get into the single digits, and we'll be tailgating again.
Yeah, halfway through, you're at the O-lineman, right? So, man, it's exciting. And tailgating, I mean, there's a little bit of news on that front. I'm sure we will probably...
we will get into that tenfold, I would think, on this episode of the Hangout.
Yeah, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. What are you doing there, man?
Well, apparently we have an echo.
An echo?
Just trying to figure out why there's an echo. You can keep talking.
Echo 1, 2, 3, 4?
Well, we'll try that now and see
echo?
if there's still an echo. Somebody will have to tell me.
It's like you're shouting into a well here.
If it's there or not. You're going to have to wait a few seconds, but Dusty's just standing there it's not.
Oh, wow.
Oh, there
is that full echo.
That's a really
Some people pay money for that type of effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Audio stream sounds great, so that's what I've been told. And
well,
we'll wait. Now, it's all clear.
Hey, there you go.
Clear. I got it figured out. Yeah, we're listening. It's all good.
We did it.
I threw it up on my phone. That's how I'm listening.
Doing the show.
I am doing the show, but we're listening to the echo live as it was happening, so it's all fixed.
I fixed the echo.
We had two sources up. We had two sources up. Yeah.
Thank you.
We figured it out. We got it figured out.
Hey,
we're all good. We're all good.
We're here.
It's better than. Oh, also Jay just texting me. Better now. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you,
He's
Jay.
the blue guy. Really coming through for us right there.
nice.
It's always nice. I love when technical issues happen. Look, like when we've had drafts and there's some issues, I understand. Like, it's very nice that people let us know that there's issues because then it's like, we wouldn't fully be aware. Mm-hmm. But then while I'm working on them, to still see them come in, it's just like, yeah, I know. Like, I know the issue's still there. Like, let me just fix this. And
Well, that one
we're
guy,
aware.
you guys were missing like the right channel or something, the right side
Yes.
audio. And I think you had mentioned it like 20 times earlier, and I just started listening, and it was like near the end of the episode. I'm like, hey, man, right hand side, and you're just probably like...
I appreciate what people are trying. They're just trying to help.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you keep getting them as you're trying to fix it, you're like, I know. But we're all good now. And like I said, it's better than losing the internet.
We had an echo.
Echo.
Just playing it to hear.
Echo.
Yeah, I know.
But Jay's let me know it's better now.
No, it's better now, yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
We're all
Jason,
good.
no.
And now watch, I'm jinxing it all and something's going to go wrong and I'm going to have to fix it.
Yeah.
But those in the audio stream, you're lucky you didn't have that echo. You just had us talking about an echo. So that's always good news. That hat, by the way, we were talking about beforehand. I love what the Oilers kind of have done with those because they did the city.
So
remember it?
the city collection, I think I got this like within the hour of them dropping the collection. There's no way I'm not going to get a green and gold Oilers hat. And even then, I think it's actually Golden Bears colors.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too.
Yeah.
University and U of A in there and everything. But I mean, it works for, you're checking a lot of boxes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well,
which is good.
And this city collection, they also have Riverhawks fitteds
And Stingers.
and Stingers.
Yep.
So it's cool to see that cross promotion or. We don't really see that too much lately, especially with the Edmonton Oilers. They don't do too many cross promos, right? So, what do you call collaborations?
Yeah.
They don't do too many collaborations with other sports teams. Why? Well, you're the biggest team in town. You don't need to. The Edmonton Elks, though, it'd be nice to see those guys do a little bit more of that. And the Oil Kings are really good for it, too. The Oil Kings do a lot of a lot of that kind of stuff.
They teamed up the ticket package there the other year,
Yeah,
which I
a
found
few
was
years
really
ago,
nice. To
they
kind
had,
of,
what was it, like a package? You got FC Edmonton, Stingers, Riverhawks, and Elks. I think were all combined into one. I think it was supposed to
do
be.
it again, throw in a little collabed merch.
Yeah.
And away you go, right?
Well, exactly. Just like the Oilers just did, which once again, they don't need
to do it, but all the other teams here, sure, drum up your resources and
There's just something about green and gold that stands out to me better. Like it's the university colors, obviously, Elks colors, back in the day, the Eskimos and all that. Sacrilege, I prefer them better than the orange and blue.
Yeah.
Like I think they look sharper and more classy. When I see that hat, I love it way better than any Oiler hat I've ever seen. I don't know. There's something about those two colors for me that just really hits home. And I just want more of those.
Yeah. No.
And you guys are both born here. You're raised here, right?
Yeah.
Like this is so I.
Look, the Oilers have like
They
one of
said
the,
it, not me.
The Oilers have like one of the best logos in
No,
hockey.
logo
like, it is
fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
amazing. It is good colors.
You're talking color scheme for the
but
city.
color scheme wise, I like green and gold / yellow better than orange and blue.
More of a
and I'm not
foothold
saying
in the
orange
city,
and blue
though, right?
is like bad.
No.
I just still I think that one just looks sharper.
The university and an old football team.
Yeah.
With years and years and decades of tradition.
Well, even, like it kind of represents the prairies too. Like prairies, a little bit of football, right?
It's your forestry and wheat type of.
Exactly, just like the Saskatchewan
Back and forth,
flag,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
a little bit odd, but that would be the comparison.
Yep.
So I agree. The green and gold, it's something that just attracts your eyes. Like even doing the Teleron post today, see them in Ticats colors, like. Yeah, it's all right, but like the traditional black and yellow, it's been overdone, it's been overplayed. The green just adds a little bit of pop.
It's a good shade of green.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just it's all right there. And then going back to the Golden Bears and the Pandas, their jerseys are just amazing. I absolutely love their hockey jerseys, and I can't believe I still don't have one of those, even though I want one.
I know.
They're the best.
They are.
Like if they put those up for sale, I'll probably buy each version because there's like the Alberta written down.
Yeah.
There's Guba. There's the old school one, and then there's the big A.
Yeah.
I think those are
Which
the
one would
four.
you want?
I,
If you had to power rank them on the spot.
Yeah, there you
Home
go.
and away.
Power ranking them on the spot. So there's Alberta written down diagonally. There's Guba. There's the old school Guba, and then there's the A. I like the old school Guba with I think it's a yellowish. That would be one. Just regular Guba would probably be 2. The big A is 3, and Alberta is 4.
Any in white, or are we all in agreement here? We're white jerseys. We just don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think the Guba.
As I'm wearing a white.
I think the Guba and white is sharp.
Okay, yeah,
That's
sharp
the one.
look.
Like when it's, I think that like, I'd have to look up.
But in terms
how
of
that
like
looks.
purchasing jerseys, you go for the color. I mean, a white jersey's tough. You're going out, you're sipping bevies.
Yeah.
You're staining that thing a week into having it usually, and
Totally.
it never had a white jersey that works.
No. Well, and you're at the game, you're drinking beer, you're eating hot
tough.
dogs.
It's
like
tough.
I've watched people destroy home jerseys. Like, that's
That's
painful.
bad enough. But
Yeah, the Guba's white. Like I'd still take that.
you'd still
Yeah,
take it,
that-
even though
that's pretty slick.
Like
it's a strong
just 'cause
white. It's a
such
strong white.
It's a
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
It's a great logo.
Not a lot of white jerseys
The
can say
colors are
that.
great.
Yeah.
But this jersey, and it's hard to see. This is number 1 to me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like that is the number 1 to me. And then I don't know if this is the A one. And this isn't good for anyone on YouTube because you obviously
Not at
can't
all.
see.
Yellow and green.
I
Yeah,
don't
with the
mind
big A
that
in the
one.
middle.
And
that's
then
pretty-
there's I don't know where the Alberta one is, but there's one. It's like a darker color,
With the
but it's
Pittsburgh
just
writing down
Alberta.
the-
written.
yeah.
See, I like the big A because it's traditional U of A. Like that's the most traditional.
Is that the
jersey and
symbol you
logo.
think of when you? That's.
It screams university to me.
Yeah.
I like the bear.
Cuba.
Cuba.
Yeah, I always call him Juba. Is he? You're talking about the face logo.
There's the other one.
Yeah. But the face logo of the bear, just that
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
I
then
like
that's the white one.
Where he's
Like-
winking, wearing a little hat, and smoking the cigar or whatever.
Yep.
But yeah.
Well, he's not smoking.
Well, but he
anything.
looks like he's got attitude.
Oh,
he's always
he's
looked like
got
he's
full
ready,
attitude.
ready for a fight.
looks like
Cuba. He's got full attitude.
yeah. What he's winking? Or no, he's
He's got the
his
wink.
teeth. Yeah, his teeth.
I forgot what it's called. The Great University Bear of Alberta, I think is what Guba stands for.
Really?
Yes, there's a.
I didn't know
learned this
that.
a
I did
while
not know
ago.
that.
There's a name. Guba has Great University Bear of Alberta. Yeah, that's his name.
Wow. I didn't know that.
That's why it's called Guba.
There's like a Juba Auditorium in Lloydminster. I always thought he was named after, and it has something to do with that.
That's hilarious.
But this makes a lot more sense. You remember Juba and Kip, the two cats from Boys House, right? I mean, he was named after that Lloydminster. There's a place in Lloydminster called the Juba Hall, the Juba Center or something like that, but it's spelled the same.
The university is just like, this is such a great hall.
This is a great center. We've had lots of parties
University of
here.
Alberta is going to honor it by
But whoever
naming
the
our
hall was named
mascot
after, I
hall.
thought that person as well had a tie-in with the university somehow. And I was like, whoa, what a popular person.
Donated like
You
$100,000
never know.
to get the mascot.
The original
name.
costume, I don't know. Like he's
It was early 70s. Chuck Moser came up with the idea for the mascot while visiting Hawaii.
What?
That's what it was. He came up with the idea there when he attended the Rainbow Classic basketball tournament in which one of the team's mascot caught his attention. Once home, he got to working, creating, and designing the mascot.
What's
At a
the
local
team?
costume shop, and after many meetings, the first Gooba suit was created. The name for the mascot was created through a Name the Bear contest.
like it makes total sense. It's a great hiding the name in the actor. Like that's if you can do that. But what was the team that he took the
I don't
inspiration
know.
from? Damn it! I mean,
The
that's-
Rainbow Classic basketball
Rainbow
tournament.
Classic,
it doesn't
yeah.
even tell us what year, so we can't even go look what
Damn it.
year he looked. Yeah, you need that. Like he saw Valspar.
It's got the Penn
know, and
State
like-
Nittany Lion.
Yeah.
That's what I want as a mascot
That's-
right there.
Oh my God, the inspiration. We need a mascot in Edmonton.
Look at the tail and the felt.
Look at the Trojan over there.
The BC Lions also had a hellacious mascot in back in the 60s, much the same as the Nittany Lion.
Oh,
It was
really?
just a human with a piece of
Terrifying.
felt over its head doing backflips. And
Do you remember the Georgia Bulldogs? They have the bulldog, and one game it bit a player.
yeah.
He got a touchdown. I think when Auburn player came in and like his hand was out, and the dog
Well,
came and just bit him.
It always looks so disturbed sitting there between the hedges or whatever it is.
I love SEC football for those type of things.
No, Harvey the Hound. Speaking of mascots, that guy is like the oldest.
You went there.
He is the oldest mascot, I think, definitely in the CFL and possibly the NHL as well.
Well, he's one of those cross, like some teams, the mascots for that team or for that sport. Like you could get Harvey the Hound out to. I mean, if you want to rent him, I'm sure you can for birthdays and such, right? Like he's not a hockey. You think of it's not hockey. It's
I always
football.
only thought
like,
of him as hockey.
Well, I think of him as hockey, but he can show up at the football. Like he's not hockey specific. It's not like he's a flame. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a hound. He can go to anywhere. He can,
Well, it's the Expos when they moved. UP was
yeah.
The Habs,
great.
The Habs adopted him, and I love when they adopt him because like UP's still around, but
you
now
can
he's
just
a Habs guy.
Like the punter down at. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't bring him to a hockey game. That defeat the whole purpose of the name. But having one of those mascots that just generalizes like a city's mood or something,
Yeah.
like I mean, the Philly guy for crying out loud. I mean, there's the Fanatic. There's
Fanatic,
Gritty.
yeah.
There's.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just characters, and they go about their business.
Hunter the Lynx could go around.
He could go. You could
could.
pass him off. You could
Koopa
pass him off
could,
an Elks
kind of.
name. It's
Yeah,
kind of you got that.
Homer was the best one of them all.
Oh,
And
Homer.
he's just a big baseball. It's
Yeah.
hard to bring Homer anywhere else, but Homer was
Lovable,
the best.
lovable.
It's just absolutely. As a kid, I loved Homer.
Can't find him annoying. Some mascots can be rather annoying.
He's
and you-
just a big baseball,
Smiling at you.
smiling
That's
at
all,
you.
that's all he does.
Do we
with
know what
his little
happened
arms.
to
The prospects used him for a little bit. Actually, they
Yeah.
resurrected him, and it's been nothing since. Riverhawks should bring him out with their Riverhawks
MIA,
mascot.
yeah.
Bring out Homer. Everyone loves Homer.
I wonder if he's going to Spruce Grove with the prospect.
The prospects.
I think that maybe that's what's happening.
Could be.
I think what was it, when they were doing their liquidation, they were selling all of their old gear. I think they were about to sell the mascot, or it looked like they were about to sell the mascot. And then I think it became visits with the mascot, Homer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't. You got
can't just-
possession of that. That's a
Game over, man. Game over.
one of one. You can't replicate that. I do love what the Riverhawks got going, though. I'll say that.
Mascot wise,
Every mascot wise, two mascots are better than one.
Yeah.
Maybe depending on maybe you'd say too much mascot is not a good thing either. But
I just like when all the mascots come together and do something.
Yeah.
well, I
Like
like
you
when they
get the
drive
big
the
hockey
little
game or basketball game or whatever it is. I just love when you just see a field full of mascots and you're just like, this is awesome. And actually, there's a clip. I sent it to you and JMO months ago where somebody like compiled like this game where these mascots took on these kids.
Yes.
And the mascots destroyed the kids. Like, we're physically plowing through them.
The horse
And
there,
it was
I
just
think.
like, they took it seriously. Like, those mascots were like, we're going to teach these kids a lesson in football.
That's why the NCAA football games totally rock, and why they blow the Maddens out of the water, because you can do that all mascot team where you're all Brutus Buckeyes running around there or whatever it is, or the guy from Colorado. I don't know. It's they all have fun traditions and fun mascots, but the best part about the NCAA football game is playing with the mascot teams. It is highly entertaining.
Madden #1. Madden 04, Michael Vick on the cover.
Can't play with mascots, though.
It doesn't matter. I'm playing great football.
True.
It's just always a shame there never could be a CFL game. I get why there's no CFL game.
Oh,
that's
that-
always a shame.
Don't even.
We all agree it's
go
a shame,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's just not enough of a market.
Doug
Like, I
Flutie was
get
making
that.
one, though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
A couple years back
was
or
he?
something? On his own computer? I think he was,
No.
he was coding himself, and he... You know what I'm talking about here, right? He
Yeah,
had
it's
something
called
going on.
Maximum Football. I mean, it may look like Doug Flutie.
Maximum Football.
Definitely, indeed, make it look like he was coding it himself. But he basically just backed this game. And these guys in Canada, I believe, Canuck play, I want to say. These guys have been trying to make a genuine CFL football game for like 10 years now. Like, it's a crazy amount, 5 to 10 years. I've been following this because I kind of want to play a CFL game.
Why not?
I think I bought it like twice, 2 editions of it. I play for like 5 minutes. It's horrible, and I'm out. Like, and I appreciate what these guys are doing. The whole Doug Flutie backing, I was like, oh yeah, I did buy it.
Well,
I
you get a
did buy
name.
that
I mean,
one.
why not? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's one of the biggest for CFL, right? Traditionally and historically. So, yeah, I bought it. I played it for like 5 to 10 minutes. It has a lot of customization and everything, but the mechanics just aren't. It's
tough.
not EA.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
EA.
hard. Who would have thought? It's hard to make a sports video game and work properly.
Yeah.
And EA Sports just seem to have the people and the money.
I always built
Kicking around.
the Edmonton quote-unquote Eskimos
Did
in
you?
Madden.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
moved the team. I relocated a team in a heartbeat to Edmonton and always played with them. If I wasn't taking the Ravens, it was Edmonton. I built a team.
I was in Vegas before anybody, to be honest.
Oh, yeah?
I'd always relocate.
Is that where you go?
Vegas. Yeah.
Nice.
Just because, why not? So I mean, you're welcome.
I missed the game because like you do like adjust like the hot dog prices and
yeah.
the pop prices, and you're like this full owner, and it was really
Cheap tickets, get him in, and then
bump up
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And you pay attention to the expected, and like I always would go just like a notch above expected, not too much higher.
you don't
but
want to get too greedy.
I don't want them to be that upset.
No.
But then if you win a Super Bowl, they're always happy and
Yeah.
Just win,
I can't
baby.
Go pull that game out. I think.
Just
I think
win.
we have to go pull some of those out. Oh yeah, just
Bring
win.
in the system.
Well, we might be getting a system in here.
That's what I hear.
A different system.
Yeah.
So more updated system.
It's about time.
And it's
About damn time.
Well, we still need to get. I don't know. I can't play Madden 04 on it. I don't think.
No.
Could newer systems play older ones? Like a PS4, PS5, can they play the old like PS2 games? Maybe I should just bring my PS2 in.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, actually, just bring in your PS2. Seriously, it's gonna be a lot easier.
Because I just have that sitting under my TV, and I should just bring
Sure.
that in.
Plays DVDs too. We could watch a movie.
You can also
We could,
emulate.
yes. We could also what?
Emulate.
Yes.
Just like, let's say, for example, the arcade machine in my games room. I got GameCube on there, PS2, the works.
Hook them all up.
You were a
yeah.
GameCube guy, weren't you?
No.
No.
My
Oh.
buddy Pete was growing up and he loved playing. GameCube was the system for sports, which he always professed. And he'd play Madden only off the GameCube. And because the graphics were like not choppy at all, they were
Yeah.
nice and rounded
They're
at that
actually
time.
really
It was
good.
like ahead of its time. And yeah, the gameplay for Madden specifically was something that he still to this day testifies for.
GameCube is like, in my opinion, GameCube growing up, I had one of those. I also had a PlayStation. Once you went from like PlayStation to GameCube, it was like, oh my goodness, what is this?
Well,
Like,
it was a
this is
PlayStation
amazing.
Xbox type of thing.
better?
Kind of.
Way better. Like
Really?
I
like I
love
didn't play
GameCube.
GameCube much.
Oh, Tony Hawk's Underground on GameCube. It's a masterpiece.
These are those weird controllers.
Oh, it's
worked
comfortable
for you?
after
Yeah,
a while.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
After a while, it's comfortable. It
Tony
does take-
Hawk was the best.
Yeah.
Those games were just the music, the soundtrack to Tony Hawk
Yeah.
was just iconic.
You could pick your brand of shoes.
Everything.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely amazing. I just want to play games. I heard the PS5 actually, or there's a report like Sony's come out and basically it's like they're almost done with PS5. It hasn't gone as well as expected. That they're now like running out the clock of PS5. It seems, and it just feels like it wasn't that long ago that they released these PS5s. I thought they were good
surprising.
machines, but apparently like the selling isn't as going as well as they expect. And I'm gonna have to do further digging. But apparently Sony's like we're in the end game of PS5s now already.
The whole console.
You got to drop the price. Like, I mean, you can't be selling this thing, 3 years later, 4 years later at $600 and $700 still. Like, you remember every other console. You remember every other console that drops after, 2 to 3 years, usually drops by hundreds. Mm-hmm. They start, liquidating them and selling them in batches and get this game and that game with it. And it feels like there's been none of that on the PS5. It's like still a coveted piece, and you have to still fork over $600 to $700.
With no console wars going or anything like that. It was such a hot thing where brands and different companies would release this one and then that one.
Was it PS3 and Xbox 360 at the same time?
It was wild.
And it
stuff.
was such a massive deal.
Yeah.
And then the Wii came out.
Yeah.
And it was a huge, full-on war.
Yeah.
Like of who's going to come out on top as the best maker. And I still think Sony's number one. But it was an unreal time. Like it was, which one do you have almost? Like it was like
no, it
mattered for social circles of which one you were playing and which one you owned.
Brand partisanship. Like it was, and you hated people or families who had the other or whatever it was. And
I was always Team Sony. Not gonna lie. PlayStation after N64 was. I had N64. I had Sega Genesis, and then after it was PS2, and then I'm a Sony guy.
Genesis was good. I like the
I
Sega
loved
Genesis. Maximum Carnage. What else you have on there? Rock and Roll Racing. Like there's all sorts of great games.
There's Ren and Stimpy was amazing on that. There was we had it at the old place in our arcade system.
Yeah.
Monsters Hockey.
Nice.
Or Monster Hockey, which was just the greatest.
Mutant League as well.
Mutant Hockey. That's what it was called.
Mutant League Hockey. Yeah.
Where could get a chainsaw and cut your opponent's head off, basically, and it wasn't about
you
scoring
could hold the
goal.
ice and then fall right through the ice.
It was all about
Never
just
see it again.
destroying the other person and maybe scoring a goal later. Like, oh yeah, I'll score now, but I'm gonna go and kill this guy over here.
How hockey used to be.
Yeah, WHA days.
Yeah, exactly.
Johnny Alberta in the Nasty Chat's going, what is Lieutenant Eric's football footy? Is it some sort of Liverpool third shirt from days gone by?
This white jersey
Liverpool.
that I've been going against to start the show. Yeah, it is a Liverpool shirt. Old retro one.
How long ago? Oh, that's Carlsberg. Mm-hmm. That's older. That's been a bit.
Yeah, it's a retro, so it's good.
You nervous you're not going to
Good
get
fit.
Javi?
No. No. I mean, we're in 4 cup competitions right now, so you're kind of keeping your eye on the prize. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
but getting your next manager. You're still not focused?
That's after the season.
What if he signs with Bayern?
What if he doesn't?
What if he goes to Real
signs for
Madrid?
Canada?
I am linking anyone to Canada now for the men's national team.
This guy, he can't.
Tuchel is out in Bayern Munich after this season. I think Canada should be interested.
Yeah.
Canada should make a call.
I'd rather have Thierry Henry.
It's hilarious.
Really?
Just for the pomp and the clout and the Tuchel's boring. What's that going to do? That's not going to. I say Thierry Henry because it's funny. I think it's funny. I think this whole thing's a joke now. Canada soccer's it's a living, breathing joke.
That's why I'm connecting them to any single big name that opens up.
Sure, but it's Henry.
We'll settle for those.
Gotta
Thierry Henry, I think that's a name that a lot of people know. He was one of the best players in the world for a period of time. French national team won a World Cup. It sounds like he's interested in the Canadian men's national team job.
I mean, I'm interested. Why not think? I love how somebody's interested in something, and now it's like,
well, submit your resume to
front
Canada
of the
Soccer.
queue. Well, I just might do that later this afternoon if they have somebody there at the offices.
Send your FIFA resume.
But why? He's interested, and now we all have to perk up. Once a name says they're interested, you have to
Look, if a name like Thierry Henry saying I'd join Canada, that is a pretty. It's the name.
Yeah,
it's the name of who Thierry
What's in a
Henry
name,
is.
right? You said in my resume, I probably have a better winning percentage than him in a pro managing career.
Well, he's going to be managing the
jest.
French men's team at the Olympics coming up, and he's got an undefeated record so far. I think he's 4-1 with that side. But the Olympics will be a big one.
Yeah.
Look, if he goes and does well with them at the Olympics, let's see. Maybe
this is the second coming.
Maybe
of
this
him,
is the spot, or maybe it's Ancelotti, maybe it's Tuchel, maybe Jurgen Klopp.
Maybe all of them.
Klopp is this whole time is I've loved what I've done at Liverpool, but you want to know what I really want to do? I want to go manage Canada.
Yeah.
I want to go manage Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David and Tejan Buchanan together.
Certain opportunities
And I'm
only
not
come
bringing
away
them to
once a
Liverpool.
lifetime. Once a
this
lifetime.
This is my only chance I can go take that. I have a shadow of, I'm not really interested in managing next year, but no, he wants Canada.
Yeah. I'll forego my sabbatical to manage Canada. Could you imagine?
Let's talk some Canadian Football League free agency. Are you surprised with what the Elks did this offseason?
Yeah, surprised, little disappointed.
Offensive line?
Yep, offensive line, defensive line.
Just like I'm going to relate everyone to Canada. It's always offensive line.
No, but seriously, that has been the bane of their existence for the last couple of years. Like the Edmonton Elks, the offensive line has been leaky. Now, yes, the style of quarterback at times, right? Cornelius, he's not necessarily a Trey Ford in that sense. When Trey Ford does a scramble, then you kind of throw the O-line for a loop because they have to guess where you are. So I get that, but still a weak O-line, man. And there's a lot left to be desired last year. So I was praying for O-line upgrades. Trading out Jake Serezna for Curly Gittins Jr. I understand what they're doing there because you have MBT. You want MBT throwing to a familiar guy. Trevor Harris to Greg Ellingson. We've seen this before. We get it. But you have to replace Jake Serezna now in that defensive line. They have not done that. Yet. That's true.
And Chris Jones has said late last week or something like that they believe in the youth that they have there. That they're going to find someone.
But does not excite you with a guy like Chris Jones? I know that his tenure overall here hasn't been what we've all expected in terms of wins and losses, but from a defensive standpoint and identifying guys, especially on that line.
Yeah.
I know you said it's been an issue, and that, I think two things can be right at the same time, but I would be very interested to see, and if he speaks about youth, who he may have up his sleeve. If maybe he doesn't have anybody right now, and he's just expecting that to happen in training camp, or if they've identified a few names, and because he's populated the league, I'll say that. Like he's given this league some top names in the past, and I don't think that time is necessarily gone from him. But I do wonder if he could.
Well, and speaking of time, Almondo Sewell was probably one of my top targets. Like I was really, really hoping that we were going to grab Mondo, and the reason for that is because of the youth. You would like a vet to be a really big voice, especially you're losing Jake Serezna. Now you're no down.
AC Leonard right now.
No AC Leonard either. He's not re-signed. He's holding out for some bigger money from what we're hearing.
Well, and Jones said too, in effect paraphrasing, but they don't know if they'll be able to bring him back now. What he's asking on the open market. So, and that's fair.
I think
he has every
Leonard
right to do
comes
that.
back if he's circling around, not getting his money, and goes, "You want to know something? I want to play in Edmonton.
Which
I will take this contract."
Which at this point, the Elks are praying for discounts.
Yep.
Like that's the unfortunate part about it is the cupboards are basically bare. You know that you're going to be banking on your scouting system now, and you know which jobbers are going to come up through training camp and make it all the way through, right? I know that they have picked up some really good DBs. Their DB list is crazy right now. I think they have it's 10 or more.
And not a bad mix. You can argue too. Like I know Gainey's not, but Purifoy and I mean, as you mentioned, it's nice to have youth, but it's also nice to have a few guys back there who know what they're doing and know. The Canadian game.
Oh, totally.
Per se.
Well, I'm excited. Just even some of the younger guys from last year.
Take another
a year
step
forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Kai Gray had himself a decent second half for sure.
And that's why I know your guys' thoughts on the offensive line, and I won't say personnel wise, but just another year together, continuity on a line helps, and I think that's.
But a large part of that line has been around for a few years.
Yeah,
it's not like last year was year one.
You could say though, maybe this is the year they mature though. I know it's a weak argument, but it's just one that you could maybe look at. Maybe that's what they're looking at.
Well, I think that's what they're looking at.
Oh, it has to be what they're looking at.
But what I know is that going into last season, that coaching staff and that the management group were good with the O-line. They felt that they had a good O-line. And I don't think a lot of Elks fans would watch last year and went, the O-line was strong last year for the Edmonton Elks throughout the season. Had its moments, but Kevin Brown really in the second half of the season really started running the ball really well. And that's a credit to your offensive line as well for creating those holes for Kevin Brown. But I don't think it was a strong one. So now it's they still believe in them. And it's to me, that's just a very risky bet.
Well,
to go with, I'm going to take the quarterbacking out of this and go, it's a risky bet to go, this O-line is good enough when this offseason there were players to go get. This was an offseason where if you wanted to retool your offensive line, you could have went out and retooled your offensive line. And if it doesn't work with this offensive line, well, you just blew it.
I guess there'd be no guarantees, though, if a retooled one would work either, where you had a piece here, a piece there. But to your point, too, with Kevin Brown, I would say, and agreeing with the line, is that he's the type of back that maybe doesn't need a stoop. He can create stuff out of nothing, in a sense, in his style of play. His his size and everything.
He's
Like,
smaller.
he doesn't need
Go
those
through.
big waves. So maybe he made the line at times look a little better than it even was as well. Like,
I like it. I
in
like
your
it.
defense.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, I got to give. I'm giving the O-line credit. I'm not going to take that away from them.
We just swapped roles there for a
so
second.
I'm going to give them that credit. But like, it's just you win with in the trenches.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the Elks, while they didn't improve necessarily on the O-line and defensive line, at this moment, I feel like they've taken a step back.
Now, what if J-Jack coming in as offensive coordinator, the bye week of changes, what if that also played a role with the play calling? You're getting maybe more blocks, or maybe the scheme on blocks is a little bit different, and they're utilizing their guys a little bit better. Now, there's different coaches for the different lines, right? So it's not like J-Jack has a whole ton of input on what happens on the line. From what I know, I could be wrong, but I wonder if maybe some of that play calling and moving the ball around more and having Trey Ford run around more, I wonder if that also contributed to making the O-line look better as well. Because I'll say this. Preseason. I know you don't like preseason.
I hate preseason. We were talking earlier. I hate watching
More than the O-line?
sports. I hate the O-line.
I just
But no, the O-line looked best in preseason game 2, I want to say, last year. So it's like preseason game 1, it was iffy, and then preseason game 2, the O-line actually looked really good for most of the game, and then they crumbled at the end. I want to say that was against Winnipeg or something, but
Those Calgary and Winnipeg were the two preseason.
I think so.
Those two.
Yeah, and Daggy got the start. We're number 13. So, yeah, I mean, that was the last time I really thought they looked good was preseason game 2. And that's from there, it was all downhill, in my opinion.
See, and that's just, it's hard for me to hear what you said there, is that maybe like the play calling in the second half with Jarius Jackson, the O-line looked good because of the way things were going. And that's with Trey Ford and stuff, and you've just gone away from that as a team.
Yeah.
Like and that's why I just keep coming back. I don't think this management trusts Trey Ford.
No.
And that's why it's just the divorce I see coming a year from now, and it scares the hell out of me because I see what Trey Ford could potentially be, and I would want that in the Elks uniform, not of any of the other 8 teams.
Right. Well, and so what's interesting about that is there's 2 ways to look at it, right? MBT came in. There's a couple ways to look at it, but MBT came in and he immediately called Trey Ford, which is a testament to who he is, MBT. He's a great leader, man.
You met him down there a couple weeks back there at the getting a sense of the man. You just mentioned he phones Trey Ford. Like what? Because I think all of us see this guy out in Toronto with these blue eyes, and he's a solemn wolf. Like he doesn't speak or doesn't do anything, and he just goes out. But you met him. He's calling Trey Ford. Like these are good first signs.
Amazing guy. Right off of a first impression. And what's interesting is Kathy, my other half, and also over at the Elks Herd.
Yep.
She, as soon as MBT was done talking, she looks over at me and she's like, "Wow, I really like the way he talks." I was like, "Wow, okay. Like, are you joking? Like, what, are you being sarcastic? Like, what's going on?" She's like, "No, he actually sounds like a leader of men."
Okay, that's
So that tailgate, the tailgate announcement. I'll give you guys the scoop here. We got to see the new logo coming up for the 75th, which was really cool. Obviously can't share that.
Can you describe it?
Does it have the double E in it?
Yes, I will tell you that.
The colors are orange and blue.
It has the double E.
We're going to represent the city.
City, the City Connect version.
City Connect, yeah.
It's going to be broken up into 4 colors.
Sure, yeah,
And
multicolored.
they're going to have the Riverhawks in the top
a
right,
kaleidoscope
stingers.
of sports.
You guys already have that kind of tied into your branding.
You smart eye.
But anyway, so this tailgate event, basically they were announcing that the tailgate is moving to Lot B, which is something, once again, we'll talk about this in a bit. So they're moving it to Lot B. We got to see the 75th logo, which is pretty cool. They gave us a heads up that there's going to be a lot of alumni this year doing signings. So they said you can think of any name. That's how they described it, was you can think of whatever alumni will be here.
That's a fun CFL game.
Some of the biggest, yeah. Well, some of the biggest. It's
Don't get us going into CFL name guessing, because we could go into some deep holes of names that we haven't heard in years. You know.
Oh, exactly. The most obscure too, right?
Yeah.
Or even then, are we going to get Joe Anoa'i? We don't know. I have a feeling we won't. But
keep dreaming.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. But anyway, so with this meeting, they ended up bringing out MBT to kind of cool things over, because obviously you're gonna have some fans that are questioning a lot of things.
Smart play.
Yeah, it was very, very strategical, and it was in the locker room as well, which is really cool. It feels like over the last 5 years we've gotten to go into the locker room a lot more than the previous regime. So that's regimes.
I've seen it online a lot more, like just from you're just
Something's happening in the room always.
casual
it seems,
spectating. Yeah.
Exactly. So after that, we got to take some pictures and shoot the breeze with him a little bit with MBT. And yeah, our takeaway from it, I mean, of course, everybody immediately started scoping out what spots they want for tailgate right after. we did the scramble out there in Lot B. But our takeaway was that McLeod Bethel Thompson is coming in to win he wants to win a cup. Like, flat out. Put a lot of promise. Well, he sounded very promising anyways. He had some promise in his voice. Easier said than done. We're talking about before the season, right? But he's doing everything he can within his control to make sure this team at least makes it to the playoffs.
1 of 9.
Yeah, come on.
We gotta make it. It's the beauty of a league, like where your chance can come as early as tomorrow. But the leader of men comment is really you can't acquire that. You can't really you can maybe perfect that, but that's a natural.
Exactly. And think about which quarterbacks for the Double E in the last 10 years have truly been leader of men, right? Like, had that kind of characteristic. I would definitely say MR13, Michael Riley.
I think of like 1.5. Maybe you could have Trevor Harris in there, and that he it's a Mike Riley light, that general type of.
Yes, yeah. 2019 Trevor Harris. That's 2021 Trevor Harris. He is part of the 22 game losing skid. At that point, I don't believe you could necessarily throw that title on him for that year, but
there was a reason a divorce had to happen there.
Yes, but not all on him either. I mean, it was a collection of But no, and I think Mace is getting the same in Saskatchewan, his appointment, and the people that he's drawn in, that leader of men.
Yeah,
not a lot of people in the world can kind of. I mean, hell, we were just talking about Klopp. I was talking about you off there. Like, that is one you can't. Guys will run through, and it's a saying that I'll run through a wall. It's literal that he'll say something, and somebody else might say, like Grey Cup, like but he says it in a way where you're like, okay, I kind of now believe it, and I don't know how you hypnotized me in those 5 seconds where he says the same thing somebody else says, but somehow you believe it or you gravitate towards it.
Yep,
that's really interesting.
Yeah, well, and with Trevor Harris, that's what's interesting is, like, everything you're talking about here. Trevor Harris, when he spoke at the beginning of 2019, you kind of almost felt that. You knew that you were getting the
kind of almost
the discount, Michael Riley, right, or however you want to put it.
Maybe because you were so fresh off the Riley, you were just tough to follow up. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, it was a really great offseason because they brought in Trevor Harris, but they also brought in Greg Ellingson, his receiver.
Yeah.
But also the key one, back to the O-line. They brought in Sir Vincent Rogers to be his blindside protection. It never happened. He never played.
Yeah, right.
But it was one of those connections like this guy has a quick release, but if he needs time, his blind side is protected by someone he knows and trusts.
Yeah.
It was just like the connection of the three actually looked like this is a brilliant move because you got all three.
It's a great spine through that offense to kind of.
Now, what if Sir Vincent Rogers would have stayed healthy? Because I think, what was it, 2 years? It was 2 years.
Well, he got hurt in 19. I don't think he played. And then COVID season, and then for 21, I think he got hurt again.
Yeah,
but that whole thing was a package deal between the three.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was like that's the one thing where you look back and like if Sir Vincent Rogers is healthy, what would have the Elks have turned into potentially with Trevor Harris around?
And that was his guy on his blindside tackle, I believe.
Who played? Was it Philip Blake that won Gittins and MBT? And like, I'm just thinking, who's the left tackle that the Argos had? It could have been Blake. I don't know. Maybe Philip Blake, but
that's
wouldn't
20,
that be something bringing that tackle?
That's 22.
Yeah,
I could pull up the depth chart for the Grey Cup, I think.
Because then you create that little core of guys you all trust each other, and if everybody else on the team changes on that side of the ball, at least you have a nucleus, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and I was also just wondering where it's like if you're brand new to a team, you at least have the familiarity as a quarterback with one of your receivers and the guy protecting.
You look both ways, and you've got
someone you trust.
Yeah. Which is why with the Curly Gittins Jr. deal, even though it cost us a Jake Serezna, which I don't know, I in my opinion, not worth it. I prefer to keep Jake.
But I think it'll, again, if he can remain healthy and there's that, symbiotic relationship between the two, I'd trust Jones to go out and find a capable, younger, maybe more affordable D lineman than opposed to a Canadian receiver or somebody out there or free agent scrap heaping some random guy that might strike up chemistry with MBT as opposed to a sure thing.
Well, exactly.
Grey Cup 2022, Blake was the left
Philip
tackle.
Blake. Okay.
Blake was
Nice.
indeed the left tackle, starting left tackle in that game. So you nailed it. But he's not coming.
No.
No. But would be something to run it back.
I've heard only great things about McLeod Bethel-Thompson as a person.
Nice.
I've heard that he's an awesome dude. He's great, which is nice to see. And that he does want Trey Ford to be the future quarterback of this team. Like, he wants to develop him that way. I just don't think management thinks that.
Well, I wonder, yeah.
But he wants to help Trey Ford, and he wants to help him develop as a quarterback, too. That's all I've heard as well. And, like, I want McLeod Bethel-Thompson to do well for this team. It's just, what is the ceiling for the Elks this season? And I can't put Grey Cup right now in there. I can't say West Division right now. It just seems like a really tall
Be a hell of a
order
jump.
to beat Winnipeg and BC. So it's like, okay, well, a year where Chris Jones, he's got to win. He's got to win. Well, what's win? Like 9 wins? 10 wins?
Yeah.
Couldn't have done that with Trey Ford and spent some money elsewhere. Kept Jake Seresna.
So then what happens? Here's the hypothetical. What if Trey Ford gets traded for a bunch of pieces at a cup stab? Which I prefer Trey Ford to be with the team next year. I'll just throw that down right now. I think Trey Ford he needs development. He needs a McLeod Bethel-Thompson to bring him through the system, really.
A system that was implemented mid-season. Like, I mean, I think now you've had an off-season. Jackson now, they have their pieces. I just wonder, A, what's it going to look like? How are the guys going to gel? And even the plans. I know from a management point of view, you have a theory on that. But who's to say the offense this season? I know the money's going in MBT's favor, and you can kind of sit there and go on a spreadsheet and say, well, he should be getting this many, but who knows what Jarius Jackson has up his sleeve? And again, making that change mid-season last year, I think there's a lot of chaos, a lot of stuff in flux, and then by that time you're at a stage of the season where they got a few wins and they made things interesting. Like the fact we were talking about them as a crossover potential late last season, I think is a win in itself, given everything that happened around the team. But I'd like to see now a full off season. Jackson knows his duties. Everybody knows their duties. You've got a quarterback room that features a few new guys that could surprise as well. Who knows? I just like that mid-season. That's tough. That's you fire the. It's not like the person you're bringing in to hire to replace the fireable individual. You're just making a move to get the guy out.
Yeah.
That's that. McAdoo. I think we all had enough of that experiment, and the heat was getting pretty hot. But an off
was
season with
beyond
Jackson.
hot.
Well, no,
that
I know,
one.
but
On that one.
the fact it took so long. It wasn't necessarily like, hey,
The water was
Jackson's
fully
available.
boiling.
No, but it's not like they went out and got Jackson. They made the move to fire McAdoo and then bring it. So I'm curious to see how that kind of plays out now with an off season behind them as well.
Well, and speaking of which, the reason why they moved him out as opposed to firing
Well, not
him
fire,
is-
but moved out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it was the operations cap, right? That CFL operations cap.
Yeah.
So now they've actually hired more coaches. They brought on some more coaches for this year. The coaches aren't finalized yet. We're still waiting on them to finalize. Once they do, we'll probably get the scout on our show for the U.S. director of scouting,
The
new
scout?
one. The scout. Going to be talking to Scout on the Elks Call. But yeah, no, we're going to try to get him on. But yeah, they're depending very heavily on their scouting system. And G-Roy Simon, believe it or not, I'm hearing that G-Roy Simon is a major contributor to the scouting department.
Well, yeah, and that's how it should be, because he's kind of, in a sense, has to be the eyes and ears of Chris Jones,
Right.
Because Chris Jones can't be he's coaching. He can't
Right.
do everything a GM
As
can
much
do.
as he'd like
He can't
to.
just fly away at any given moment to go scout a player. And that's why
true.
you bring in G-Roy Simon, is that he has to be the guy that does that stuff for you. And he's got to be the guy that goes into the scouting to balance out that Chris Jones has to be around the team a lot more than other GMs that aren't doing dual roles, right?
I thought you were going to hit me with the G-Roy's coming down to coach a positional or something like that. Plus the AGM role to kind of soften that.
Coach the receivers.
Soften that cap. Well, maybe. Jason Shivers, though, again, nothing official, but
Yeah.
DC appointment. That's a big.
That is so massive.
Curious to see how that goes.
Yes, so alumni, everybody on X there with an opinion felt very strongly, like a lot of alumni anyways, and a lot of fans as well, with Chris Jones having too many hats. Chris Jones, he was losing sight of, all three of his jobs by trying to do them all at once. So the end result was our season last year and the season before, really.
But his most fitted hat, I think, is DC.
It is.
It is.
I love
is.
Chris Jones, defensive coordinator, every day of the week.
That's why this move, I think, with Jason Shivers, when it gets announced, is brilliant in the sense of this is Chris Jones is still going to be involved with defense.
Oh yeah, but
There's
this
no
is his
way
guy too.
he's going to be walking away from the defense completely.
Yeah.
But when he has to walk away from the defense, it's a disciple of his.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a guy who was with him back here in Edmonton.
Yeah.
He knows the Chris Jones defense. He knows how to do things. So it's someone he can trust. And, like, look, if the Riders don't collapse last season, Jason Shivers is a head coach.
It wasn't on
next
the
year.
defense though.
No, but
but I'm just saying,
he's a head coach.
Right? No, yeah.
The fact that the Riders dropped off, you had Nick Marshall.
There were rumors
quit
of
on
him
the
taking
team.
over there, and he would have if it wasn't so sour
Right.
in house.
I love Jason Shivers, and I think he's going to be a great head coach one day in this league. So to have him is just I think that is a very shrewd move where it's like you can't give up. He's not. You don't give up the GM title.
No.
But you don't ever just throw that hat on the table. Like, I'm out as GM. I'll just do coach in DC. You're never going to do that. He's also not a guy that then's just going to give up the head coaching in DC. So naturally, he only could give up DC, and I don't think there's a better person I would ask for to be his defensive coordinator. I'm just intrigued who's going to call it during the game. Who does the work? Like, who's doing the work during the week? But who's calling it during the game?
Every second play.
Well,
but to your
a
point,
degree,
though,
I'd almost want Chris Jones to call. I'd rather have Jason Shivers working with the defense all week if that means Chris Jones those calling it on the weekend.
Yeah.
I still want, because you're right, he's brilliant defensively. I still would think I'd rather want Chris Jones in the moment going, this is what I want for my defense. Here's the call.
Well, you trust your DC in capital letters. So you can argue that if Shivers is a disciple of his, then Chris. But it's better than that you are bringing somebody in to take one of those hats from his inner circle as opposed to somebody totally foreign. I mean, Chris Jones he'd give it up begrudgingly, though, if somebody came in here and ran their own type of defense. And I mean, that would be a calamity. You'd have to kind of move on from the regime.
Yeah,
but to get a guy
happen.
like Shivers at this stage. And how the timing lined up, I mean, that's a great fit, as you say. You can just it's a continuation, it's an extension of him. But yeah, he's still like he's still the old head here, right? Like he created the defense that Shivers got. So I mean, he'd probably be more a hand in that. But
and the defense needs a big step up this year, just in full, because what we know of Chris Jones as a defensive
the bar is
coordinator.
high. Yeah.
In Calgary, he was brilliant. In Montreal prior, he was brilliant. In Toronto, he was brilliant. When he was here as head coach in DC, he was brilliant. When he went to Saskatchewan as the DC head coach, president, everything, is the DC part, though, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
And so far, two seasons with this time with the Elks, his defenses haven't been good enough. They haven't come close to being Chris Jones' defenses, so that defense does need to take a major step forward if this is win now season.
Yeah.
Like they're not going anywhere if we still see the same defense that we saw last 2 years.
And I was crowing up players that he's brought into the league and have since flourished in other markets. But yes, in that particular regard, it has been a little late over the last little while compared to the bar that he set prior in his career, identifying that type of talent.
Now, here's a hypothetical. What happens if the Edmonton Elks start the season 0-6 or 0-8, somewhere in there?
The Lions have done it before. Hell, we were talking about the Alouettes to start last season. Remember that? We mentioned the other day the owners, everything, just a calamity of all this mess, and then you come out smelling roses.
If the Elks get, I don't think it can get to 0-8. I don't think it's going to be allowed to get to 0-8.
No, yeah.
0-6. So to get to 0-6, I got to look.
I mean, there is
at
a
the
leash
schedule.
Yeah.
Well, because with the Elks,
More than any other year
this
into
season
this.
comes down to. Well, I get the schedule up here. It comes down to they play 10 games against Saskatchewan, Calgary, Hamilton, Ottawa, and then they play 8 games against Montreal, Toronto, BC, and Winnipeg. Of those 10 games against those other teams, the Elks need 7 to 8 wins, minimum. They can't afford to be 6 or 5, because then if you win 7 to 8. Look, you may take 1 or 2 against those other 4. You're talking about potentially a 9-10 win season. Okay, that's a pretty decent season. But the more games you lose to Ottawa, Hamilton, Calgary, Saskatchewan, now you got to go win against those other teams. And I don't know how easy that's going to do. So for this team to get to 0-6, let's say, it would be a loss at home to Saskatchewan, a loss at home to Montreal, loss in Toronto, loss in BC, following a bye week, back-to-back losses to Ottawa. There is no chance. At the very least,
It's not happening. They're not going.
I'm just trying to think. Like, I think at 0-4, Chris Jones might be gone. Maybe.
Well,
If that like
stylistically, how those losses are happening. If they're getting
that's going to be
if
the
there's
thing. Like
2 shutouts
after
in there
that,
again,
it's
like we're not seeing that.
It goes Ottawa, Hamilton the next 3. So maybe if you're Rick Lawler, you sit there and be like, or the new ownership group, throw that out there that there's still talk of, I think that there will be new ownership, but who knows how quickly that would be until they get the keys. You might sit there and go, well, those are winnable games. We can get back up there. You lose those first 4 and then you get swept by Ottawa. That's a for sure coaching change.
Yeah, you're gone.
Jason Shriver, new interim head coach for the rest of the season, right?
So once again, for the second season in a row, their season depends on the opening game against Saskatchewan. Really. If you look at it, if they lose that Saskatchewan game,
it's a tough next 3.
Because exactly. Toronto, BC, and Montreal, Toronto, BC. Good luck winning against the Montreal Alouettes. I mean, they are missing a couple pieces now from last year from their championship team.
Championship team. I just
barely championship, but they did it. But
I get it. And you're the defending. Look, I get that until the crown's taken. But I just think we're kind of like this damn league, hey? Like and I get we're going off what we know from last year, but I don't know. Like that game against the Rough Riders, that could, as you mentioned, I mean that could totally, and the way that they lost that. I mean, give me a the way they lost in Regina, right? Like the whole running out of. I mean,
the 9-point play,
me a
basically.
break. Those are 2 games there that you've eliminated one of your Western neighbors that you mentioned that group of teams. I mean, how fast things can just swing.
Oh yeah,
and then momentum's on your side, and I mean, hell, you and I walking around the concourse, they're up 20-some on the Bombers.
22-0.
I mean. I'm looking for a patch of grass just to touch because I think I'm kind of losing it here. What is going on? What is this? But to get shut out twice too in that same season where you've lost games such as that and those
in the prior season though with McAdoo and Cornelius as OC head quarterback, that was I got to point out who was in charge of those ones
sure,
when it comes to the
shutout. We've come a long way, baby, and things have changed. And
and this is where it's like. I agree. I think that Rider game is very crucial.
I think that season.
You set off a loss there. Like it's you
this
look
year's
at the
or
next,
last year's.
No,
both
this upcoming. Last year was I think.
Well, they're both.
You look at that game. I think mentally killed the team.
Absolutely, it's an exclamation
point. They go win that football game. Then all of a sudden, I think we have a much different conversation.
But if they're not
going to 0-8.
If they lost that game to just say the better team on a better day, and it was a hard fought game,
the way they lost.
The way they lost is just. I mean,
no, it's just mentally crushed them. Where we're at end goal. On first down from the 1, and we couldn't punch it in 3 attempts. Well, like that's
and the off stuff with Loxley after that, which just added to the whole snowball. I mean that.
So, but if you lose to the Riders at home again this year, like because naturally what it comes also with coaching changes, if that were to happen, it's the pressure from the fan base. Mm-hmm. And Chris Jones has immediately set off this fan base in one direction by saying, we're going with McLeod Bethel-Thompson, not your quarterback.
He doesn't do himself many favors, does he?
And that makes this worse. Because if you lose, let's say they go 0-2 to start heading out to Toronto, there's a lot more anger because it's, why isn't Trey Ford playing?
Sure.
And the calls for Trey Ford would be immediate almost, depending, again, how those games fully play out.
Whether right or wrong, you're right. That's just the perception at the time.
And Chris Jones has put that on him. Yeah. For the fan base, where it's going to be very quick for fans. Like the Elks go lose that first game to the Riders, 31-21. Immediately, people are like, "Well, Trey Ford would have won that football game."
Yeah,
I don't have to know how any of that game plays out. I could just say if that's like fans will just immediately they'll be
Trey Ford would have won.
Trey Ford would have won that football game. Trey Ford would have ran for that touchdown or something. And that's what because fans wanted Trey Ford.
Steve McAdoo would call it a better game.
Okay, take it easy.
Am I going too far down that road here? Yeah.
But fans would have wanted Trey Ford, and so now it's immediately like Chris Jones, the leash that he got for fans, from fans, like he got a little bit of leash at the end of the season because they won the 4 football games in this down the stretch. But then him making this move with MBT, and it's not MBT's fault. This isn't on MBT. No. It's on Chris Jones. But the lease became really short again with fans.
Well, Jones can't wait to get on the record, too, and say he doesn't care about any of this stuff. Yes. And I understand what he means. His job is to do what he's doing. But you also have to understand there is a perception.
You got to go win.
Just win, baby. But again, the game against the Riders, okay, you can chalk that up to, hey, revenge game. If we want to talk the mentals here. Revenge game. MBT goes to Toronto, right?
That's in 2 weeks.
He'll have a little something to prove there.
The Montreal will be a big one.
Well, but even that, I don't know.
Montreal coming to town, like the Elks could have won that football game.
Absolutely,
they had the huge lead, and then it just a calamity. Thank you of errors at the end of that first half, ending with the missed field goal for a touchdown was just like, oh my god.
Right. That's why I wouldn't fear the Alouettes coming in or even as Grey Cup, champions. I mean, I
don't know. Respect the champs.
Yeah,
Oh, no, I'm all for
the
respect,
champs.
but again, I'm just saying 9-team league, and you just got to go. You just got to, again, half of these games you're in and you just lose due to stupid mistakes and mental error, whatever. Like the Saskatchewan game should be viewed with total revenge. I mean, I know players change and come and go or whatever, but that's your revenge game. MBT can go prove something personally to Toronto or whatever he wants to do. So I know there's no animosity there. And then Montreal, I mean, who knows what they are? Maybe they won't even be a team by then. Maybe the ownership issues will rear its ugly head again, right?
They're good ownership now, I think.
I know.
They've got the money.
trying to make the case.
Now it's about Edmonton
They don't
ownership.
scare me, though. They never have.
Well, they got hot at the right time.
Cody
last year.
Fajardo, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's won, he took the Riders to that West Final 2 in Winnipeg. His career, too, much like the Elks season starting off last year, I mean, could go in a variety of ways. Now he's a Grey Cup champion all of a sudden.
Well,
It's...
imagine we talked about the Elks in the first and goal from last year.
Yeah.
What would have happened to the Riders if he doesn't hit the goalpost on that final play of the West Final?
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
Like they were
They were taking the Bombers to the limit for years
It
there.
looked
and-
like the Riders are going to the Grey Cup here. The
Damn, I love
Riders
the
are getting
CFL.
there.
I
and
love
he
the
throws
CFL.
that ball, hits the post, and you're like, oh my god! Like I think they're scoring on that.
And it doesn't happen anywhere else in the CFL
No.
because the goalposts are situated just by the goal line.
And then it just then COVID hits, and I was expecting a lot more from Fajardo in Saskatchewan. Never really happened anymore. And then he goes to Montreal, and he does okay last year.
Throws the bomb.
Love this league.
Closes
Well,
his
man,
eyes
this
and
league.
chucks it downfield.
Oh, exactly. And good on him, right? Good
Sure.
on him. I think that things were getting a little bit toxic in that fan base over there in the other shade of green.
Riders?
Yeah.
With
Cody,
both Fajardo?
With Cody
Oh, yeah,
Fajardo.
they're not fans.
Cody's
Yeah.
a staunch believer in himself, and as most pro athletes should be, but I think he one too many times kind of took to the megaphone with it. And,
Right.
I mean, again, when you're not winning or winning
Yeah. The rah-rah
habitually
stuff
and
doesn't work
consistently,
anymore.
yeah. I don't care how many corn dogs you've eaten at the fair here, Cody. It's not, talk to me when you're in a West final again, right? Like,
Yeah.
But
And then he went to an East final.
well, that's why I love the league. It can you don't need 8
changes.
years to turn things around and draft classes and all this or whatever.
Don't tell that to Edmonton right now.
Well, just
Oh, the parody.
and here I don't even like free agent scrap heaping.
Yeah.
I don't consider that like a formula. Now, if you're trying to change a culture and everything, you want to get new players in and get some out. But
I go back. It's how the Bombers got
you don't
going.
need to win free agency.
They started with free agency.
Start, yes,
That's
but you
how
don't need to
start.
continue
No,
year after year.
You don't want to be the team that wins free agency every year.
chasing your
Yeah.
tail.
Because then at some
Yeah.
point it's like, well, cool.
You got a problem, man. if you're always
You're
winning.
always- banners for that.
You're always filling big holes. That's what it's
Yeah,
screaming.
yeah.
Well, take a look at the Toronto Argonauts. They got decimated.
They-
Oh,
that-
man.
that's
price
but-
of success.
Yeah.
Speaking of scouts for the Elks, what's the scouting staff for Toronto like? Like, are they sitting there going,
Yeah, right.
oh my God, we're in trouble. We just got decimated. Or are they going, we're good.
That's the formula.
We found AJ Olet.
Yeah.
We'll find someone else.
Exactly.
We are they like? I'm very intrigued how they're feeling. In
Let
their
him walk.
offices.
You pay the big money.
brought up-
We'll bring up a guy for
John
half the
Murphy
price.
has just a history of finding guys.
Another
in this
guy
league.
populating the league with talent. Yeah, it's
Well, and what's interesting about that too is I'm in a couple of Argonauts fan groups on
are
Facebook.
you now? I love this.
Well, we keep an eye on all fan bases, but oh my lord, when they lost AJ Olet to Saskatchewan, the hate was real for pinball. People were coming at pinball.
Oh, come on. Well, what's he supposed to do? I
Sign the
feel
guy.
bad
Give
for
him
the
the
guy.
money.
Yeah.
Well, but
Give him the money.
is that MLSE's responsibility? Yeah.
Well, they
or
could have
whatever it
paid.
is.
They could have probably paid him. Make the cap work.
But
Give him
again,
the money.
to your point, he probably
Well,
thinks
that's
that they,
that's where I'm intrigued what they say. But I can
As a
see
fan
where,
base, I
if
would-
I'm a fan and I'm like I
Well-
see a running back go that's replaced Andrew Harris so well, I might be like, yeah, why didn't you?
But I'd also like
And a fan favorite. Like I already see he's looking for a place to park
Yes,
his
yeah.
trailer to live in for the season in Regina.
He's a mascot, and that's why
Yeah.
I'm saying if you're changing regimes, great place to start with a guy, a marketable guy. You get him out
Totally.
there, he's doing things and everything. But from an Argos point of view, I said to him too. I said I kind of feel bad for pinball because the Blue Bombers have been able to. Don't ask me how they're doing it, but they've kept a lot of their core, right? And it's
Yeah.
the CFL, and you never know. And Henry Burris got a house on the hills. But for pinball, keeping them in Toronto, I mean, look at the facilities, look at the fan base, look at the.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of like. As a player, and I know the CFL gets compared to that college atmosphere a lot. I think AJ Lut's buying into that in Regina right now. But if you're a player from the States and you go to Toronto to play pro football for the Argonauts, what's keeping you there outside of money? Is there anything else? Is it the big city that you are invisible in? Like you're in a big city, but nobody knows, nobody cares who you are.
It's who you are. Like Chad Kelly wants big city.
And that's
Yeah.
good.
Chad, like apparently Chad Kelly was
He
like
fits there,
he
yeah.
was Elks property. They traded him for Nick Arbuckle, the rights. By all accounts, though, he was never going to sign Edmonton.
Exactly.
No interest. Like it was.
And I love him in Toronto for the league. I'll just say that.
And that's and he has got that swagger and stuff.
Marriage,
but like he's a guy that wants the bright lights of the big city.
Sure.
But I think for a lot of other players, yeah, if you want to be loved by your community or your fan base, you're not getting that in Toronto.
No.
There's very few people, like even just media wise, like their radio rights holder, I don't even think travel for games.
It's
TSN 1050.
it's like an Oakland Athletics thing in Moneyball when you're
the
kind of
morning show in TSN. Aaron Korolnik's on it. He loves the Canadian Football League. He talks about it, but it's like no one else talks about it. Almost like they don't. There's not a lot of focus across Sportsnet 590. Is not going to talk about it. Sportsnet TV doesn't talk about the CFL. You got TSN.
Well, Dunk,
that's about it.
Dunk
but like,
shows up every once in a while on screen. That's
right.
Dunk,
but he like that, and that's one of the things that hurts without having Tim McAuliffe on TV on Sportsnet. Tim McAuliffe show or Tim and Sid like. When Sid left, especially, Tim focused a lot on the Canadian Football League, and having that show gone really sucks because he was on that network, one of the big champions of this league.
Right.
And for Toronto, that's a big deal. But yeah, Ouellette, if you want, like, where are you parking your camper in Toronto that's in a good spot?
Well, who would
it
care?
It just doesn't fit, right?
Nobody knows he's going to give it.
In Saskatchewan, it's like, this guy's one of us.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
and
he
you
is a country boy.
Well, yeah, and you could promo it and do, but again, in Toronto, so I do feel bad for like pinball because what outside of money, I mean, guys are going to get paid regardless, and like you're going to get
Yeah.
Well, but like that's an ML, like that's not a pinball problem though.
Potentially. If Ouellette,
pinball is pinball though.
Ouellette has his money Pinball has his money that he can spend for the cap, and you're going to allocate it one way. He sat there and maybe thought that this guy's not worth what he's asking for. I'm going to go somewhere else.
And you can't go
so that's on pinball.
You can't go hog wild on him, and nor should you. But
well, and here's
you can't break the bank on a running back to keep him there just because he's a fan favorite. He's doing the good thing, but I'm saying like
I wouldn't do that for a running back.
No,
I say
a lot of players left on defense too, and a few like I feel bad for the guy because it's good pickup.
And
but you lost
Jr.
Gittins.
But that
They have receivers.
But that doesn't matter to them because Gittins wasn't good last year with Chad Kelly.
Hurt.
Right.
He also, when he played, he didn't get the targets and stuff. Like the connection,
he's not his guy. Yeah, you
the
move on,
connection wasn't there with Kelly. That for them, you now bolstered your defensive line for dispensable. I'm struggling with words.
You didn't.
Disposable receiver for you. I think like that's the way they view that one.
Yeah.
That if MBT was their quarterback, you'd want Gittins Jr. But it didn't go well with Kelly. There wasn't that chemistry. That I think for them, like that's a very shrewd move on their part.
Yeah.
I still don't like it Edmonton's part.
Well, now speaking about wide receivers, did you guys see that news about Tim White? Arguably one of the top three, if not number one, wide receivers in the league. Hamilton, he wanted $300,000. So he held out and held out and held out. Just announced yesterday he signed for $200,000.
With bonuses. I want to get the bonus.
I want to say around $20,000 worth of bonuses.
Attainable bonuses. I'd say for his ilk.
Yeah, performance based or whatever.
You bet on yourself as the player. You go around. You listen to the phone calls, if any, I guess, and then you circle back. I mean,
But then you contrast what the Elks...
Just the 2-year deal comes in at just under $200 in hard money for this season with $12K in promo, I'm assuming performance, and then $600 for each game on roster and another $15K for incentives. I love how he's getting $600 for each game. Like, it's such a small number. You're $600.
Suit up bonus.
Second year, hard money goes just above $200K and performance $20K.
He's a real good receiver.
He is great. I would not say that he's the definitive number one wide receiver.
It's a tough mantle to...
Exactly. There is really
I take
good wide
Eugene
receivers.
Lewis.
Well, and I think
Geno Lewis. There you go.
This little example has shown that I don't think there's one guy alone that we can say steadfast, like, we can all come to agreement that he's the one. Like, he should be getting paid the top.
The thing is that Tim White was looking for Geno Lewis money. Mm-hmm. That's why I bring this up. So Geno Lewis, what was it, 320 or something like that, 320K, and that was supposedly going to set the market for wide receivers. So they thought it was going to set the market, but the reality, Tim White did anyways. But the reality is that the Elks probably overpaid a little bit, but the wide receiver, Geno Lewis, the all-star at that position, obviously, like the number one that year, it's how much he's worth to the team.
Sure.
So the Edmonton Elks, they needed a bright spot. They needed a really good bright spot. They needed to do the better wide receivers for not such a great quarterback sort of thing, right? They tried to surround Cornelius with all these great receivers.
And big name, community guy. Like there's a lot of other offshoots with Gino that you pay for.
Exactly. He's a great ambassador for the brand.
Right.
He interacts. He's good stuff online. Couldn't ask for a better guy to be in Edmonton with us, right? But at the price tag of $320, it is rather steep. And then you factor in the McLeod Bethel Thompson signing at what, $500K, I believe.
It's $400 with incentives up to $500.
There you go.
I think is what it is.
But then you got shown back in Winnipeg on a, I mean,
Well, the discount, yeah.
well, but that and how much does that hurt? I mean, Tim White, in all this credit, I see where he's coming from, but Gino does that, then shown back in Winnipeg for whatever. That's got to stifle your kind of, you know, because
when we talked about it on Free Agency Day, where we also didn't see that natural spot that is in need of a receiver.
no, there
That
was nobody
like,
screaming.
Who's
out
that
there.
team? There was no team that's like, we desperately need a receiver, so we will pay the $300 because we want Tim White.
Timing
Yeah.
was
All teams are, I think, for the most part, they're like, yeah, we're pretty good with what we've got in the receiving core. That if we add you, great, it helps us, but it's not going to be.
We're not paying the top
We're not
dollar.
paying the
No.
top
No,
price
no.
because if we don't have you, we're still okay.
It was
Exactly.
the, it
It's
was
not
the
that
spring of
much.
running backs. So that's what it was. That was the whole dominating force and factor, and where the
Running backs, I think a little bit O-line.
yeah.
The O-line. There was movement there.
Everybody land running back wise, where we all thought, boys, hey, the musical chairs, everybody kind of.
Yeah.
Well, after with Stanback going to BC and then Calgary, and
It's
then
sad.
Ouellette going to Riders, it was natural that Kadeem Carey was going to go to Toronto. That happened.
Yeah.
Um,
And Kerry too. I mean, a history of injuries there. I don't know if I would. I don't know how many games. Maybe he gets a
2 years
starting
I
game
don't know,
bonus
2
as well
years
for the
ago,
Argonauts.
he was pretty healthy. and
But
he
no,
was
I'm
a
saying
beast.
now.
And then last year he had his injuries. I would, depending on the price, if he's coming in under AJ Ouellette,
Yeah.
I love that deal for the Argos.
If
I
he
love
stays
that
healthy.
trade-off.
If he stays healthy, and the price, yeah. But there's your natural.
Like it is a somewhat similar style of running play between Kerry and
That's
AJ Ouellette. Yeah.
Like it's if you could get in under,
Yeah.
I think you can have still the top running back in the game if he comes in. Now, who did Calgary sign? Or did they sign anyone?
Morrow.
Yes, Jamal Morrow.
Yeah.
And then I'm wondering if Dedrick Mills gets a little bit of a increase because when Kadeem Carey got hurt, Mills showed up really well.
he
then
did good.
factor in what Peyton Logan. Then they have a
Yeah, Peyton Logan, he was
three-headed.
the third guy.
Yeah.
This is the EST Hangout presented by White Claw, the hard seltzer that started the wave, made with refreshingly real flavors for their iconic taste. White Claw, the difference is clear. Scout from the Elks Call, which you can catch live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, or you can catch on Edmonton Sports Talk Friday nights at 8. But your show is going to be on YouTube on Thursday, 8:30. You've got this week.
This week we have Chris Agar. He's a big fan. He was actually in the tailgate meetings. So,
Have I been by his booth?
no, I don't think. He's actually. So this was a problem with Lot A, is that everybody's really spread out, right? So we're down by the Turf District, and we have like a little hub down there.
Kind of near the entrance when you'd walk in from the true north side of that lot. Yeah.
And then over closer to like Gate 6 is where Chris was. So Chris would be way off kind of in the boonies and would have to do a little bit of a walk.
There
to
are
make it
areas
really-
I never really ventured to, just because how it was all laid out a little
Exactly.
weird. I'd never go too deep south and
Yeah.
kind of saw you guys in the north, but
Well, yeah, and we'll. Are you planning on digging into this, or do you want to?
We'll get to tailgate right away.
Okay.
Lieutenant Matt Iwanyk
Let's
is here.
go.
Just a couple things I need to get to. I know you guys did the auction today for the Heavy Hockey Showdown. Just a reminder for this weekend, Saturday, 4 o'clock, Soho downtown. We got the pre-party and the silent auction, which includes a signed Hyman stick, a WestJet Fly Anywhere raffle, and a bunch more. All the proceeds from all this going to the Sexual Assault Center of Edmonton, and then the actual game goes Sunday. I've got 11 till 2 at the downtown community rink. You're the what are you for the game? You're the
I'll be
physical
there.
therapist?
yeah, I don't know. The titles and jobs vary, but we'll be there assisting the team.
Yes.
We'll
I'll be there. I don't know what.
themed tracksuits and the such, stretching them out.
I'm going full suiting up.
You're in full
I'm
suit.
suiting
Okay,
up.
yes.
I'm suiting up for this.
Pretty bold
It's
move for a
big-
physical therapist here, Matty.
I'm a physical therapist.
I
I thought I'm like the GM or something. Now,
Well, you
I
could be
don't know.
because we auction off the coaching spot.
Yes. And we got the coach who is. Do we know who won? I can't remember who won the auction.
Pete,
And
Was it Pete?
then Fergie's prostate is now going to be the goalie coach,
the Dustin Schwartz.
which is going to be great.
Yeah.
No,
But
I
we
want,
can do
I
whatever
want
we
full
want.
Suit.
Okay, fine.
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
want a full suit.
You're
this off.
the gully.
I'm gonna get like Big League Chew if I could find some.
You'll be the Paul
Nice.
Coffey.
Oh,
There you go.
maybe we'll do something like that. So that's going to happen Sunday, downtown community rink. We're going to get that going. And also coming up next Thursday, it's the return after a 3-year hiatus of the cystic fibrosis fundraiser. Honorary chairs include Edmonton Oilers Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and his wife Brienne. It's a 4-course meal paired with wine. You can meet Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, other members of the Oilers and alumni. There's a hot stove Q&A with the players. Friend of Edmonton Sports Talk and Oilers radio analyst Bob Stauffer will be at the events. If you're interested in getting tickets for this event, which is the 32nd annual face-off with the CF Gala in support of Cystic Fibrosis Canada, cfgala.ca, and it takes place at the Chateau Lacombe. That's coming up.
Chateau Lacombe.
So you could go.
That was a good spot.
You can go have dinner
Great.
and see Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and then of course friend of Edmonton Sports Talk, Bob Stauffer. cfgala.ca for more information on that. Oil Stream pregame show later tonight. 8 o'clock game with the Bruins in town, because when you have the Bruins take on the Oilers, naturally you want it as late as possible.
Yeah, somebody pointed out this morning as well, might be an 8:20ish puck drop, 8:30ish, because that's how you do. So
perfect.
10:30 East. That's it.
Means the Oil Stream pregame show 6:30. Tom Gazzola, Zach to come, having you covered, and Matt Cassian for that game. Tommy also at Hudson's West Edmonton Mall tonight for that game. We've got the big watch party happening on Friday as the Oilers take on the Wild. Tonight, though, Tommy will just be there with the pre and post game show. So go on, say hi to Tommy while he does pre and post.
I might just do that.
And go and say hi.
Yeah.
Just a quick hi.
Just hi, and then I'll leave.
Hey, let me know
Yeah.
when you go. I'll also. I
Tonight?
Live, I live
you
5
were in
minutes
the
away.
same hood. Eh? Yeah, that's
Thorny
cool.
Cliff, baby.
Oh, we got to coordinate more, especially with these Tommy Bourbon Street pre and posts. Yeah, we'll be all around there. Friday.
Okay.
Friday for sure.
Okay.
Tonight, 50-50.
All right.
Let's see, game time decision, Tommy. I kind of promised I'd show up. I probably should.
Yeah, show
I
up.
promised him yesterday. I
You
should
should just say
show
a
up.
quick hi. Dude, like, honestly,
Well, I'm not going. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I
do that for 5 minutes and walk away. I'm just gonna get a drink and then leave.
Man, would that trip him out?
Just or like you show up. You show up. If we're planning this, I'm now like I'm planning.
Sit
to
a
do
couple
this.
tables over and stare at him?
Well, you could do that. Never say hi. Just send him creepy pictures. Move around the bar.
Yeah.
Or you show up like 5 minutes before the show. Say hi, and then once he's doing the show, you can't talk to him, so you just leave.
Yeah.
And then when he says, "Where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I left. Like I just left.
Yeah, I
I
wanted to
just
bring you
left."
on. I said, "Oh no, I'm out of here. Sorry."
There's ways because
no,
he's
there's
busy
lots of
between
ways.
6:30 and 8. So if you show up just before, you say your hi. Be like, I'll just be over there, and then you leave.
I'll do the old tap him on the shoulder, point over there, and steal one of his chicken wings. Eh?
There you go.
Yeah.
A bunch of GCs Tommy has
Oh,
also to
he's
give away
loaded.
at those things. So I'll have to stop by tech-wise.
Food and drink
to start.
GCs, just to let you know.
You guys gave away 50. Food and drinks are available at that tailgate. See that little segment?
No, that was beautiful.
Boom.
This is why he hosts the show.
This is that's actually the big news. I think one of the positive news, I guess, some people have with the Elks is that there are the changes.
Bronco Nick, pick up that damn membership
That's what he's
pack,
here
man.
for.
Holy heck, it's been a while. Yeah.
Take that receipt part. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone that knows how is here.
Who's
so,
that guy?
Bronco
Hello.
Nick is here.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, actually, we're supposed to have some other visitors today. Today's a busy day. Oh, are they here already? Well, tell them to say hi
What
after.
the heck? See you, Bronco Nick. Nice to see you, man.
Bye, Bronco Nick.
Haven't seen him for years.
Picking up his Nasty Club package, which we still have just like a few left. I
He
don't know why
actually-
these people haven't picked them up.
He gave me a panino once in the Westmount shopping center parking lot
Oh, yeah?
in part of a hockey card trade.
Nice.
Through an Italian center sandwich, just as here you go, an add-on.
So not the panini card. The panini.
Oh no!
sandwich.
Yeah! I get what you're saying here. Yeah. It was a Horton's card, and then he gives me a sandwich. And I just great guy.
Oh, I immediately just went straight to the
I
sandwich.
know. Oh, you went straight to the sandwich.
went straight
love
to
it.
the
You went to the
sandwich.
cards. You go
I was
sandwich.
thinking about the sandwich just because those are so good. Oh, my God.
Speaking of good, the tailgating.
Yes.
Oh, that was
Boom.
masterclass.
That's what we do here.
Masterclass.
So it's going to Lot B, which for those that remember how the stadium used to be, like it's just north of Clark.
How close to the church?
south of it, like in between. It's
That's
like sandwiched in
that's
between.
my marker.
It used to be just grass. It actually used to be their practice facility. Then they paved it and it became a parking lot. And I think that's where the players generally parked. Now that's being taken over as the tailgate spot. They've put the map out there of what it's going to look like. There's the stage, which I'm assuming is by where Spirit of Edmonton's going to be set up so that they can have
I like that. Nice
Tall
in the
Boy
corner
playing
haze.
and
Yeah,
whoever
yeah.
else is playing.
Yeah.
You are a tailgater. You have your spot. What other changes? You said you're at the meeting for the tailgates, and what do you make of everything?
So changes coming to the Edmonton Elks tailgate. So this is interesting. They are moving it from Lot A to Lot B. Lot B is a smaller area.
And grass? Will we be walking on grass? Or
No.
it's still kind of the lot, like the okay.
Yeah, it's still the paved parking lot, but then like they call it Toker's Hill or Stoner's Hill. But you know the big hill
I'm
at
listening.
the back of
Go on.
Lot B. So they're gonna have premium stalls all along the parking along Toker's Hill, the big hill. And then, like you said, they're gonna have the stage in the corner, which is great. And then, so let's say the premium stalls. The big changes here is that there's gonna be premium and then standard
They've
stalls.
tiered you.
They've tiered you. Well, and the other thing too is last year, let's say there were still tailgaters like OGs grandfathered on the pricing. It's funny, grandfathered pricing is always great until they do the big revisions and revamps, right?
Then it's back to square one. Or
Then it's
you
back
gotta-
to square one,
Yeah.
and you're like, why the heck am I paying double the price for this? And then
I'm a grandfather, damn it.
So what's happened here is the premium stalls are all along the hill, and your entrance is behind Clark. So you go in through Lot D
Okay.
now. I want to say D or C. No, Lot C. So I think you go in through Lot C, you drive behind Clark, and you access the new tailgate. Like you cannot access the tailgate
From
by
the north.
vehicle from the north.
Okay.
You can't go by the church anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned too, and sorry to just, but the issue with the old location was, and I kind of found it funny that every game there was a car that would kind of drive through, and everybody
Yeah.
would crowd it and be like, "What are you doing? Where are you? What are you doing?" Yeah.
Shame.
But that was, I mean, it's kind of, is it a parking lot? Is it a tailgate? Or have you guys just kind of come in here and? But this is now official.
So this is official, and it's great that you bring that up because now they are no longer allowing you to drive in an hour before the game. If you drive in around an hour before the game, the security is going to give you a hard time getting in. You're probably going to be able to plead your case and get in because you're a paying customer. Let's be real. But they're still having limitations. So like, let's say if it's like 50 to 45 minutes, it's a hard cutoff. Like you're not getting in. You're not using the spot for parking. The purpose for you spending 400 to 500, 500 per premium, 400 for standard. The reason why you're paying this price is to go be a part of the environment. So changes, once again, that tiered pricing. Lot B, they're moving the stage around. It looks like they're also going to have more partner stalls, which is great. And then 3 hours before the game.
Partner stall.
Partner
You want
stalls.
to define that for?
So on the map, there's going to be some little purple stalls.
Yeah.
Check it out at the Elks Herd on X. You can go find our the tailgate map. We posted it. But basically, these partner stalls are, let's say, like You Need a Barbecue last year was a partner of the Edmonton Elks. We also partnered with them for the chili cook-off.
Yeah.
And they would, anybody that's using those stalls for, RCMP promotional business purposes, partners of the Edmonton Elks, they all get to use those stalls. Hard to say if somebody gets it the whole time for the whole season.
Sure.
Or if it's interchangeable between partners. More than likely, Spirit of Edmonton is going to be in one of those partner stalls, I would assume. And there is two right beside the stage. So K97 one side, I could see K97 being one side, Spirit of Edmonton on the other. Nothing official. I don't know anything on the inside. This is just speculation.
But if you're a business and you want to get in there, ground zero, you want to get in one of these partner stalls.
Totally.
And act quick.
Well, exactly, and that's what You Need a Barbecue. Shout out You Need a Barbecue out in Sherwood Park. Good guys. Russ and the crew. More than likely going to be talking to them about chili cook-off again here
Love
soon. But yeah, more than that's where you want to be on game day now. And we mentioned it earlier.
Well, you mentioned showing up an hour. What are you doing showing up an hour before the football game? You should be there at least like a couple or.
But those people, they literally just parked.
And I know you have
and went to
families
the
and
game.
everybody's got different
But they
reasons for
didn't-
going to the game.
They
but-
bought that parking as a parking pass,
Yeah.
not a tailgate pass.
Sure.
And then the Elks, I'm glad, are going and saying, no, this. If you want a parking pass, they're these ones. That's it. These ones are specific. We want you to tailgate. You have to
Exactly.
do
Yes.
that tailgating with the game. Because then it makes a better atmosphere.
And I think redefining what time a football game actually
Yeah.
starts. Kickoff is this time, but the
Well,
game starts
Well, and it used to be 2 hours.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
now
used to
it's
be
3.
2 hours. Now it's 3.
Perfect.
And I would assume, reading between the lines here, it has a little bit to do with the alumni signings they're going to be doing this year.
Okay.
So last year they did the tryout. They did the prototype where they had the alumni show up 2 hours before the game, or an hour. I think it was an hour before the game. They would set up the booth, and alumni would sit there, and they would sign away autographs. Grant Shaw was there. Quite a few notable names. When they did the Wall of Honor inductment for Ed Jones.
Yeah.
It was Ed Jones, Jim Germany, and can't think of the third guy, but
Nasty Chat's got it.
yeah, Nasty Chat's going to be in here. But either way, when they did the Wall of Honor inductions, they had all those guys doing the signings up top as well. So that's where
But to give it a little time to breathe now and to,
Well, if you're a tailgater, you get screwed on all this. Flat out. Any event that they're doing pre-game in the stadium, any in-stadium activation that they're doing, tailgaters can't be a part of. So, I appreciate being able to do the tailgate thing. I think that's still hands down the best possible.
And we appreciate you taking the time and the effort and everything else that goes into it, because
we gonna smoke those meats, boy. But that being said, it's kind of frustrating that with all the alumni signings, we miss out on that. Let's say somebody like Calvin McCarty, who, shout out Calvin, awesome guy. We're pretty friendly with him. And if he goes ahead and does a signing, hey, I'd like to go support him and go say hi to him in that lineup as well.
I'll watch the booth.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
You get in there,
man.
we'll community it, but
Get you one of the Elks Herd aprons with #meat on it, and you're set.
It's too bad you can't, from your point of view, enjoy it all. And certainly when you among others take a leadership role in that, tailgating and everything, but you can't see it. I do love, though, the addition of another hour. I think that's just, you can't have. Give me 8 for crying out loud. Again, it's not just the game. You turn it into an affair, a daily thing where you go.
So
and
game 1 is a 5:00 start on a Saturday.
Perfect.
Starting at 2:00. It's great.
Night.
The game 2, 7:00 on a Friday. I don't imagine a lot of people are going to be there for 4.
Some are different in a way,
but getting there for 5:00 or something, you finish off work, head to an Elks game, head to tailgate, head to the game. Awesome. There's a Sunday at 5.
Beautiful.
There's another Sunday at 5. There's another Sunday at 5. And then we get to the Labor Day rematch, which is a Saturday at 5. So, all those games, you could start at 2:00.
But
you get the tailgate.
Yeah.
And then you go enjoy the game.
It's like 2 games.
And then actually with those times at 5:00, outside of the,
you get
for
home
those
at
that don't have kids as much, for younger people, especially for the Sundays, but the game's done at 8.
Decent time to tuck in.
Industry night on the Sunday night. If it's a Saturday night, there's a lot of places you can go visit,
afterwards.
right?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You could have yourself a day.
Oh, yeah. Well, and what people also don't realize is that tailgaters have been showing up, including Spirit of Edmonton. Spirit of Edmonton sets up very early for
what's your usual timeline? You show up there, for you show up there with your stuff at what point? It takes how long to get set? And then at what point are you kind of open for business?
So luckily I went through a little job change here recently. I changed employers. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
I don't know. Good.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But I was always scrambling for time. And they're this is modern family issues. It's a Friday. The game's at 7:00. You get off work at 3 to 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You scramble, pick up your truck, because I had a work van.
Rush hour traffic.
Yeah, so I go over to the west end, go pick up my truck, bring the truck over to the north end, load it up with all the gear, do the whole screaming oh, did I forget this? Did I forget that? The typical family thing, right? And then you pile in, and you make it down there, and 2 hours was my guideline. I think once we made it 3. And
3 hours prior to
3 hours prior. Yeah. So once we were actually early, but for the rest of it, it was pretty much the 2 hour point, and then it also takes you another 5 to 10 to set up. Glenn and Cheryl, shout out Glenn and Cheryl.
Yes,
they'll be tailgating again this year, but they would have to help us out because we're scrambling to get everything done, and also that's not including smoking of the meats and everything the day before or that morning.
You want to take your. Selfishly for you and I know potential broadcasts or whatever we may or may not be doing and covering the team, it's nice to have an extra hour to party.
Yeah.
But for you guys putting on a party, it's nice to have an extra hour or two to again
Prepare.
just prepare and for you to enjoy it. Why you want to be
Yes.
rushed through and then you rush through the whole day through the whole event? This gives you can breathe a bit.
And
Everybody
with it-
will be better off for it.
I don't know how it'll fully go, but like it's game's about to close. You guys then have to clean up, pack everything up,
Yep.
and then get to the game if you want to watch it.
Sure, yeah.
2 hours. It's a very short time. That maybe with the going to 3 hours, you could kind of close things up a little earlier.
Totally.
Because you've already done it for 2.5 plus hours.
Yeah.
And now it's okay. We could clean up and make sure we're in the seats for kickoff because we want to see the start of this game.
Exactly. And like even speaking a little bit more on that, tailgate chili cook-off. So we never truly like when we're tailgating and we're for the people, we're for the fans. We're trying to hook everybody up with some delicious smoked meats, grab some food, grab
It's a
some
very
keychains,
selfless
whatever.
tailgate. Let me just say that.
Thank you. No, and
From everybody involved there. It's just,
Everybody,
you guys
exactly.
put on a show for the fans, and it's
well, the turf district right across from us, also friends of EST. The turf district usually sets up a TV. They sometimes have smoked meats. I think Mike from the turf district,
Superfan Mike always does something different.
he made Montreal smoked meat. He did his own brine and did his own thing. Like I was looking over
You're
at him
kinda
like,
standing
when-
there being like, gee,
When
guys,
Montreal
knock it
came
off
to
here.
town, he did that one.
yeah,
It's just
exactly,
like,
yeah. So with the tailgate chili cook-off, what was interesting is for once in the tailgate, it broke the barriers for everybody because one of the biggest complaints about the tailgate is it's private parties.
Yeah.
So everybody's in their stall. You know, people aren't really looking at each other. They don't look.
Well,
at
if
the
you are, you're
passerby.
looking to stall down and be like, "What are they doing over there?"
Exactly. But you might not have even said hi to that person before. Whereas, like, tailgate number 42 right beside us, like we had Parkers there, so we would always talk and everything, and you'd talk to your other neighbors, and then you got turf district right across. But even turf district being right across, we barely even talked throughout the tailgate season because we're slanging meats.
You're
we're slanging food.
interacting. You're doing your own. Yeah.
Yeah, so the tailgate chili cook-off, what was beautiful was, like, afterwards, I had a lot of fan feedback where people were exclaiming that they finally got to meet their fellow tailgaters. And with Lot A, that's something that we'll also bring up. Lot A, it's so spread out. It's like 2 giant rows, basically, of double-sided parking. Then you have another row of one-sided parking. In Lot B, it's like 5 or 6 rows of vehicles all within a U of parking. So you're surrounded now by tailgaters everywhere, and when
Bit of
you're
a carnival
walking,
atmosphere now. You're kind of
exactly.
in a yeah.
So I think that's going to be a really, really exciting part of that, and like our plans, we're trying to kind of replicate the road that we had and everything, and the hub. Looks like turf district maybe on the backside of us. We don't know how it's going to land yet. Like we put in our requests, the Elks.
they'll do what they do.
Yeah.
You're a grandfather no more, right?
Yeah, no. And so people were paying, once again, $150 to $250 last year. And in that meeting,
And that's for the year.
that's for the year.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Which if you think about it, what, $25 a game, you're going to spend more on an Uber. It's for the transportation fees alone. Sure, maybe if you take LRT, it's going to be a lot cheaper. But the convenience of walking out whenever you need, if you have a family emergency or something, you go jump into your truck and you're gone.
Yeah.
You can listen to it on Ched or wherever else, right? And of course the potential post game show. If
It's
that
coming
does
back.
happen.
That's happening. Pre and post. That's happening.
Okay, perfect. So there you go.
We've announced.
So
like,
then,
the Green and Gold kickoff post game show are returning.
I didn't want to
to
speak
Edmonton
for
Sports
you.
Talk.
I just
The other stuff that comes around it, we don't know where that's going, but for sure, I will be on the air in Edmonton Sports Talk with a pre and post game show.
Based on Lieutenant Eric's reaction, I wasn't sure if I could, if I was.
I like to err on the side of, you never know. I press
that's
releases and stuff, and you're doing 2 a day here. There press releases.
We all like to
Joking.
talk a lot, so
Well, you say something, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
We're going to announce that in 2 weeks. Okay. So I was like,
No, I've been very like
I know
the
you
show
haven't.
is coming back.
Yeah.
and it's gonna. I'm calling it the exact same. It's the Green and Gold kickoff post game show.
Love it.
But can you comment, I guess, a little more on how different this might be than previous? Well, where you might be doing.
No, I can't comment on any of that.
Okay, he's back. We just
nothing has been.
now you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, I know
Okay.
exactly
I just didn't
where
know
you're coming.
how far.
I know
to
you're
step
exactly
into
coming from
the-
this
into
whole
the
thing.
mud here.
I have no details on like anything else except
Smooth,
that it's
yeah.
happening.
That's great.
nice.
Also, Tube Socks has worked on some logos for me.
Well, that's
Nice.
that's a
He
given.
did that in like September.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
like, "I'm so excited for next year." I was like, "Okay, well."
Good,
And he
good.
sent me some, and they're really good.
Of course.
Shout out Two Socks.
Well, and I think EST glue guy Jay Milne is going to be part of it. a big part of the show this year.
Love it. More of him is
Nice.
not a bad thing.
No, glue guy.
So, yeah, him and I have had some chats about that. So he seems very eager in wanting to do it. So as long as he is like, we get closer and he still gives
Frisky
the
and willing.
thumbs up, then yeah, it'll be me and Jay Milne who we disagree on the key part of this team, which is quarterbacking. But a guy who also is in the football community big time in the city.
Yeah.
He played for the Golden Bears, was at a CFL combine, is involved with the Wildcats, has been involved with the Golden Bears in the past, so he knows his football too. So he'll bring an extra knowledge to the Green and Golds that haven't had that ever.
Not too far removed from the current game.
Yeah, he knows.
Not to say my experience with the whole Bulldogs for 2 or 3 years
Maybe we'll have to
wasn't
get
anything.
Damon Bunting on the show one time because he was a
Guy can talk
he was,
ball.
he was a running
Yeah,
back.
absolutely.
I think he was the running back.
So. Have to get all three of you guys down to the tailgate too. Maybe
Green and Gold kickoff show, pre and post game. That's coming to EST. That's if I'm I might be here for all those games and miss the tailgate. That might have to.
you might
but
be in
I'm
a
okay with
Remax
that.
balloon above the city broadcasting,
go.
right? Who knows? That could
Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't it though? Never been in
We're
one of those.
already thinking about an RV. Let's do a show in a blimp.
Let's get high.
Do you think Dusty would want to do that? I don't think he could do a blimp.
I don't think I could do that.
No?
I talk a big game now, but I don't. 20 feet up, I'd be crying to get off.
EST glue guy. We'll have to get a hold of him for that one.
I'll go up there with
One
Blue
question
Guy.
though. Anything different right now that you can talk about safely with regards to the chili cook-off? Has there any sort of planning or because last season it was fun. It was kind of a by the seat of your pants. Like it was a lot going on, and I know now. We're talking about this new tailgate layout, more time. So I just wonder if the chili cook-off will kind of take that momentum as well, and more time, more layout, more planning, and a ultimately a more fun day than it was
Definitely.
already fun that day. But
No, and that's actually a great question because as soon as the Edmonton Elks put out that Lot B map,
you were thinking,
thank the Lord that we now don't have to do this off of a Google Earth map because totally, we planned it out for months. Down to the final details, yes, seat of the pants for sure. Catherine was working, I think, until 2 a.m. that night.
Yeah, like you
the
guys
night before.
were-
we
yeah.
we grinded it out, right?
burning on the fumes. Yeah.
Yes. So now that we have ran a process on it, it's going to be a lot more organized, I guess, for next year. We did have an issue with people trying to, fudge ballots and everything. So
I love it.
Yeah, people were
I
definitely
just
trying
love
to
it.
fudge ballots. We did notice that. No matter what, at the end of it, there was still most votes for lot number 2 was the winner.
Someone even cooked up a what was it? A beanless chili for you.
Yeah, shout out to the Cordies for making a beanless
Cordies,
chili.
yeah,
that was the Corey crew.
yeah.
But I didn't get any because I came too late.
It was so
I came too
popular,
late
they ran
because it was
out.
gone.
They ran out. It's so
And then, but Eric comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, you got to go to the Cordies lot. They've got a beanless chili for you." Because me and Dusty were talking on air, and one, chili's not supposed to have beans. Let's make that clear. Real chili does not have beans, and I don't like beans. And so I went over, and I thought it was to the right law. I'm like, "You're supposed to have a beanless chili," and the guy looked at me like I was insane.
Nice.
And I was like, and then I was at the wrong because they had finished up, and so they were wandering around, so no one was at their spot. And so I went to the wrong spot because there was naturally I thought that was it. And Eric
I like
said,
random stall getting a guy.
What?
Where's
Some
my
guy-
beanless chili? I was told to come over here.
I was like, Eric
Sir,
told me to come here for beanless chili. I'm like, what?
Please don't hurt me.
Oh, but shout out to the Cordies for making that. And unfortunately, I couldn't try it this past year. Also, shout out for the Cordies who don't just tailgate at Elks, but they do bear games.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so happy because I wanted to be like, yo, shout out to the Cordies for their U of A Golden Bears
Yep.
tailgate. So we went to the playoff games last year.
Yep.
Amazing. Saw Bob Staub, a friend of EST, Bob Stauffer.
I
That
never
was
got
pretty
to
cool.
their tailgate.
No?
I never, because I
You're at the game, though, eh?
I
But you-
went
yeah.
to the games, but I got there too soon. I never planned to think about going to the tailgating. And I'd come in on the train and I'd be like, they'd be packing up. I'm like, oh yeah, they do tailgating here.
So what's interesting is I went on a big sober November thing. I completely quit alcohol for the month of November. One of the greatest things I ever did, by the way. I highly recommend everybody go sober for a month because you can kind of see what life is like on the other side of the non-drinking fence. And it is actually pretty cool. You can do it. Anyways, moving right along, I had Corona sun brews. And I had them in my pocket rolling up. I almost looked like a heathen rolling up to this thing. And I had my jersey, my Elks jersey on. Kathy and I both did. Freezing cold. It was pretty cold out there that day. I think -5, -10, whatever. Which that's actually warm for.
That's good for
One of those
For-
games was not -10. It was worse, I think.
Was it?
I think so.
So was that the game then?
It was Heritage Classic one. It was one of them was
Oh,
the
the one
Heritage
where they,
Classic weekend. And
Oh yeah.
I feel like the day before, maybe it was only -10. but there was a bad wind.
It was really windy.
It was a bad wind.
It was really windy. So we went over and we got invited. We've been invited multiple times to go check out the tailgate. Unfortunately, we can't make it down there. Finally, playoff game came, arrived.
Perfect.
We showed up, and they're building it. They're building it, but it's becoming something special. And Terry Cordy is actually the main guy who's spearheading that down there. U of A Golden Bears alumni. Same deal with Brent.
Great family.
Awesome family. And then Brent is also the, I want to say, D-line coach. So for the U of A Golden Bears. So, he's a defensive coach for them. And, I mean, together, those two guys, they not only are they good at tailgating, but they're a little bit of a core and a nucleus for the Golden Bears family. Like, it's sweet seeing how many people gravitate down there now for that tailgate. I'd like to see it improve, obviously, make it bigger. But for a start, they had cornhole, like they had some games, probably a gathering of around like 40 to 50. But it's reminiscent of when the Edmonton Elks, or the Double E,
It all
started
starts
theirs.
somewhere, yeah. And I mean, again, outside of having a pro team like the Elks who can maybe advertise a bit more, get their name more in the media, just a general pop, as opposed to U of A football, or I mean, the hockey is the dominant, and maybe football might take a back seat at times, but that's good to know. And these stories need to come out more so that more people know. And the magic of the Cordies and the 40 or 50 odd people who there then grow to 60, 70, and then you're 100 before you know it, and away you go. And I think the college crowd too. And you and I went to a game a couple years back. They were playing the Huskies, and that was a good. What was it, Friday, Saturday night? Two top teams. Like they were.
Yeah, Friday night.
They were kind of both head to head at that point. But the student body there was. I mean, they were electric. They were on it. They knew what was happening. Like it wasn't just like, here, students, some free tickets to a sport thing, and they go and they talk. Like they were there. They were engaged. They were interested. The whole bit. Which kind of low key caught me off guard for a Friday or Saturday night in the big city. But
I went to a few games last year. And
it's great.
I can't wait for this season already. For them too.
More.
Because it's redemption season.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Like with what happened out in BC.
Well, and
It's
Kathy,
redemption season for that team.
totally. You know that Chris Morris is he's more than likely.
Well, it took him a long time to get here, right?
On EST? Can I say pissed? Is that a swear on EST?
Oh, you can swear on EST.
Oh no, well,
We just don't.
I don't want to go full Dave Jameson. Okay.
JMO says the S word. He was the first one to pull the S word, and Keith Flame was the first to say the F word.
As long as you can use it in a sentence.
Okay.
I think it's
Piss is
okay.
fine. Piss is nothing.
piss. Nah.
Piss. But anyways, so Catherine ended up going and watching that game, and she's never seen that playoff game. She's never seen more exciting
The
football,
buzz
I don't
and
think.
just the-
Just the play.
Oh, the on the field.
Yeah, the on-field play. She was like, "What the heck is this? Like, this is crazy. This is some crazy football. This is some of the most entertaining." I think she said it was more exciting than like any Edmonton Elks game
fair enough.
in the season.
Talented
Well, they were
individuals.
very, very talented last year, and what helps those games is like they are broadcasted, but there's not real TV timeouts.
Yeah.
So the game moves quicker.
That's
like
true.
there's a lot of quicker possessions and stuff. And I remember even watching the game on TV when they went to Saskatoon take on the Huskies earlier in the year. Elks were taking on Regina at the same time, or I think later or something. But I was trying to flip, and it seemed like every time I flipped back to the Golden Bears game, I missed the drive because it was like already the other team had the ball. Like just like how did they already have the ball? But it just it moves so quick.
And with that Canadian play clock, you're
and it's just and it was just one of those where it's like the Bears have already moved the ball 50 yards down the field. I was gone for like 30 seconds, but no TV timeouts. That the game just has this flow to it that is really nice too.
It'll be an interesting summer/fall for football in the city, given again the pressure, the heat.
There's
Chris Jones,
he's
residing right now in a 25-degree living room. Getting ready to start the season. Like it's warm, it's hot. It could get a lot hotter. And then with Chris Morris and revenge. I mean, it's taking a long time to build this program up to where he wants it. He's here.
Well, this is going to be, I think, the first season I could ever recall in my life, at least. And like, I don't know, Jay was part of those teams that got to, I think it was back-to-back Hardy Cups, but there's real expectations on the Golden Bears football team to start a season. Where we're going to go into this season going, them and UBC 1-2. Huskies probably just off. But like, I don't recall a time I'm going in like, no, the Bears should be one of the best teams or show that they're the best team.
Hell, even talking about a playoff spot, you didn't run with that narrative a lot heading into seasons. I mean, again, it's taken Morris a long time to build and whatever, but you're here now, and it'll be interesting to see if they can get But football season.
Ian's saying, are they still going to have the stage on the other east side of Commonwealth because they have that little party?
Yes, that's where Whale and the Wolf performed.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still happening. I don't know if they mentioned that. I don't think they.
Is that more of a team thing with like a?
That's a full team
commercial
thing.
sponsor.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Coors Light Fan Fest is what it used to be called. So it used to be the Coors Light Fan Fest. Now, I don't know. I think they're just calling it the Fan Fest. They might get a sponsor behind it. They probably will.
They'd be smart to still do something there because everyone's coming off the LRT, and it's nice to have some people for that.
But what's nice about the Lot B, you can just whip around Clark Stadium and the arena.
The south.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
As opposed to the north.
Yeah.
You're talking? Yeah.
Also, he says they need to have buses starting early to get to more tailgating. That's not bad.
Sure.
idea. For the buses that go, they should plan a few
Here.
to be like,
better early than late. Why,
let's get to the
Seriously.
tailgate. So,
well, and if you think about it too, those buses can drive right into that Lot C, drop you off, and you just go walk behind Clark.
So this is to summarize kind of your feeling. What I'm getting. This is a good move. This is the better move. There might be changes. Always comes with attachments that we don't like, but.
Well, and really, the price tag isn't that bad. It's super high demand. Like it's now a very popular spot on game day.
Yep.
Believe it or not, like sure, the attendance is a little bit hurting in stadium, but outside the stadium,
It's a huge stadium too.
Yeah.
Even, so
we're still gonna get like 30K.
Yeah.
30K. I predict like a 27K average again.
But in terms of like the layout, the booths, pricing, but just where it's located, everything such as that, you see it, you can visualize it now by looking. It feels like it's a home run here.
I think it's going to be a huge improvement, and it also eliminates those gaps, the spread out. You have everything more cramped. I don't. It's going to be a little city full of tents, basically, right? And I'm excited about that, and I think that with that feedback that I told you about, where people are like, they didn't really get to talk to their neighbors, or they didn't get to talk to other tailgaters.
Yeah,
that now changes because you're directly across. At all times, you're directly across from somebody, and it's going to be closer in proximity. So,
like a flea market.
Yeah, basically, it will be like a flea market in there.
You should sell stuff like earrings and
we got something in the works.
hacky sacks and
we got something in the works.
I'm talking out of turn again.
You're also guessing like you're perfect at guessing these things.
I guess I am a soothsayer.
Putting these things out there, no problem.
Yeah, I'll show you something after the show. But,
get out of here, really? Okay.
I'll give you a little teaser, but yeah.
Do we have a date for the chili? Is there a game identified right now, or anything that people can?
Ooh, I think we do.
Or anything else special, I guess, within the tailgate season.
I think more than likely October 25th against the Argos. I believe that's the date that we agreed on.
It's a good chili date.
Yeah, otherwise it's going to be October 5th, but I think we went too early last year. Remember, it's still warm.
It was a little balmy for a chili, even a beanless Texas style.
It's not Texas. It's real chili.
But it is a Texas style, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe beans is Texas style. I don't know. Beans aren't supposed to be in chili.
Now. Well,
chili is not supposed to have beans.
Texas
People
style.
Screwed it up.
Texas
They've
style.
added
Exactly.
beans to it when it's not supposed to add.
What a mouthful, just to say no beans. These people.
Oh, it's so good. We did actually do a gluten-free. So one of our contributors over at ShotgunSportsNetwork.ca, our good friend Len Nunez. He's pretty big in the sports community. We hooked him up with a gluten-free version, and I'm pretty sure that disappeared rather quick.
No Billy Bean chili is known as Texas chili.
Oh, there you go, Texas
So it is.
style, dude.
But then.
It's a loose definition. It's not Merriam-Webster's dictionary or anything. I mean, this is just kind of the word on the street.
Texas style.
Urban Dictionary. That's what it. Yeah.
Well, Texans, they know how to do chili, and they don't do it with meat or beans. You don't put beans in chili. It's not meant to have beans. I will vote this year based strictly on the bean list. Whoever doesn't have beans,
the path to victory
you're
through his
immediately
stomach.
going to be right at the top of my list.
Yeah.
Corey,
There
if
you
you
go.
keep doing that, you got my vote.
Yeah.
Straight up. That's
Buy
how
this
is gonna
man's
go.
vote with no beans. There you go.
Good.
That's
Just so good.
It's not supposed to have them. I can't stand the beans. It's just terrible. It's one of the few
Beans or the O-line?
What's worse?
beans.
Oh, no!
Beans.
Can't
Easily.
stand them.
At least
And we're going to the Grey Cup.
Are you guys going to Grey Cup?
No. Well, hey,
you guys
that's
gonna go?
actually
No, you're
hilarious.
stepping in it.
Yeah, that was good.
Are
That
you
was
guys
good.
planning?
Yes, we are actually.
Okay, love it. 'Cause I think everyone's kind of planning like
Loosely
it's
now.
back in
Well, it's
Vancouver,
back in the West,
it's in the
yeah.
West, and it's just like I think most people are like, let's all go to Vancouver.
Well, and Hamilton was so crazy last year. So if you didn't have FOMO looking at all the pictures from Hamilton last year, like from what I hear, that Hamilton Grey Cup was the best one.
Unless you were housed in a Niagara Falls hotel for the beginning of the week, as one individual here was.
I don't care. It's no 18 in Edmonton.
Well, we've been,
was
as you mentioned, though, we've been starved for a Grey Cup out west here for some time now.
Well, Regina didn't count.
Regina was supposed to be the completion of the Prairie Triad, where you had the Edmonton, Calgary, and Regina. And I still have the shirt from that Grey Cup that never was.
Yeah.
Which I hold dear because it's one of those,
I don't know, 2 years ago, it's just
Memento.
It was like the first one back, but it's still like I don't know. It didn't feel it or whatever. Hamilton finally felt like Grey Cup, and they elevated a lot with the shows
It's
and
the
stuff.
Hammer, and they love their CFL out there.
Vancouver, like I'm not going to sit here and say Vancouver's going to do as a city a great job of coming together, but it's going to be a great locale, and the CFL community is going to come together and make where the Grey Cup part of Vancouver is. That's going to be.
They'll give us the block square.
Yes, and we'll make it
What we need to
ours,
do it.
and it's going to be unbelievable. The city's not going to come around it like Edmonton.
No.
Because it was like even in Calgary. When I remember me, you, and Dusty went for a walk to go for a bite somewhere. And it was like, as soon as we walked off Stampede Park, we're like, does anyone know it's Grey Cup here?
Isn't that Calgary in a way? I just don't.
Screw Calgary.
Even their fans.
Sorry to those living in Calgary.
I think we all agree in this room that
I'm from Edmonton, and I'll always say that.
ABC.
Coming up next, there will be the Lock Shot. Dusty Huss. We're almost done. Mexico Open this weekend in the PGA. That tees off tomorrow, so they'll have you covered with their best bets as well as things that are going on in sports, including Oilers and Bruins.
Champions League, I'd assume.
We've got. I don't think they've ever talked Champions League.
I know.
Who's
a man
today?
can hope. Is it Arsenal Porto today, or is that?
I know Arsenal's today.
Yeah, Arsenal Porto and one other match.
And then Oil Stream at noon with Tommy and Dusty, as they'll get you set for Oilers, Bruin, Napoli, Barcelona is the other one. 6:30 later tonight at Hudson's in West Edmonton Mall on Bourbon Street. Tommy does have the pregame, Oil Stream pregame and postgame show, so you can go join him there, or you could just tune in to Edmonton Sports Talk for that. And then Thursday, 8:30 on YouTube, but then Friday, 8 o'clock on the audio stream of Edmonton Sports Talk. It's Elks Call. Well, again, who do you have again?
So this next episode, Chris Agar, but then the episode after,
Which will be in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, Dave Jameson will be rejoining the herd. We got to have another talk with that guy.
Is it the swearing?
It's the swearing. Yeah, we got to have him on for the swearing.
He's a runaway train. now.
Exactly.
It's just absolutely incredible.
Potty mouth.
Foul mouth.
Thanks for coming in. It was fun talking some CFL and tailgating, and now I'm just actually really excited for June again.
I can't wait
it sucks.
now. Like,
This
I want to
actually
look outside.
This almost makes the hangout terrible because it's just like now I'm excited, and we're still a while away. We still have to get the NHL trade deadline. We have to get the playoffs and stuff.
The Briar.
The Briar.
We haven't even started the Briar. yet.
Alberta was down 2-0 going into
Get out
the
of here.
first end.
I think you need a loss though at this stage, just to kind of
keep running. Eric, thanks for sticking around for 2 hours. Thanks to everyone for tuning in to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw on behalf of Scout, Lieutenant Eric. I'm Matt. Like I said, coming up next, it is the Lock Shop. That's coming up in just a few minutes right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, our YouTube channel, and those listening on TuneIn. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you tomorrow.